Yo, GM. How's everybody doing? Just trying to get a couple things put together here before we get this live stream rocking. Just give me another minute. Check out the chat. See a couple familiar faces. Got to post a few places and we'll get this stream underway. How's everybody doing this morning? Let me get the reposts out so that we can spread this across the verticals. Get some people to come watch the stream and join in. It's another Friday. I think the last stream we did was, what was it? It was a week ago today. Lots happened since then, hasn't it? What did we do last stream? Well, we fucking nailed the analysis. Moodeng. Moodeng, motherfuckers, where y'all at? Moodeng, Moodeng. Moodeng is for the people. See if we can get some more signal boost on that. If anyone is in the Astrology for Men Telegram chat, if you wouldn't mind liking and reposting that last tweet that I put in there so we can get some more people joining us live for the stream. Got 12 of you so far. Amazing. Let's see who we got here in the chat. Munar, my dude, GM, always a pleasure to see you here. We got here Parallel Surfer, GM. This looks like a new face. I'm not don't recognize your name from previous streams, so welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. He says stick playlists. Everyone always asks about the music. It's from a buddy of mine. I'm going to get him to put it out as like a playlist on YouTube so people can just like vibe to it in the background. Because what's nice about it is it just kind of vibes, and there's no lyrics or anything over it. So I'll definitely get him to do that at some point. But each episode I try to put out something of his. Let's see what else we got here. Radu779 says GMs, Radu. Welcome. We got the 12th and saying good, but coping on Man U. How are you? I'm doing good. Yeah, Man U is kind of like getting that push. My boy UM, and it looks like Base 16Z is also pushing that one. I was asleep when that show went live, so I missed the initial moment for that. But you know what? There's always a next. It is looking pretty good. We're going to take a look at that on today's stream. Let's see. Parallel Surfer also says excited. First actual bull run scenario for me. Well, get ready. Oh, buddy. If it's anything like last cycle, and who knows if it's going to be like last cycle, we don't have all those stimmies and mass liquidity injections like we did and everyone locked down. Like that was a perfect storm. But I do believe that crypto will be the fastest horse at any other sector. So it's where you want to be. Mongi says, GM sirs, GM Mongi, appreciate you being back in the chat. And I'm just taking a look in the AFMTG group where Genghis has said, if everyone goes and bookmarks, likes, and retweets, we could get up to around 2,000 each. That would be amazing. The more reach we get, the more people learn about what we're doing over here, the better the community grows. Genghis, I'm not sure what happened there. Did you try to post a link and it posted the wrong link or something? What? Oh, no, that was you. Okay. Let me see. So he posted a link to a tweet. I'll try and get back into that. Anyways, let's move along here. Get the show rocking. Everyone, welcome to another episode of Astrology for Men. I am 0xRapture, and here we'll chart any shitcoin with a pulse. We are brought to you by, let's do all the fun branding things so that everyone knows. TheDailyEdge.com. Go to TheDailyEdge.com/subscribe, where you will get to your inbox daily a free newsletter that highlights and recaps the previous day of crypto activities, more specifically where the on-chain flows are taking place. We've got mentions of attention and where the smart money is placing their capital and placing their bets. It's a recap of the previous day so that if you don't have the time to be sitting on chain 24/7, you can get brought up to speed and focus your efforts towards the things that matter. It's written by the one and only on-chain wizard, an OG legend, and he brings you actionable intel, insight, and overall market sentiment, etc., distilled into a quick 5-minute read. So I would highly recommend you go and subscribe to thedailyedge.com/subscribe. It's a companion to our platform, ChainEDGE.io. And the show is also brought to you by ChainEDGE. We're an on-chain analytics platform tracking the real-time flows of the top 0.01% of DEX wallets by profitability. We have a bunch of cool features on there. We've got the Alpha Stream, which is a real-time transaction panel where you can see where the money is flowing in real time. We also have portfolio analyzers so you can see where capital is directed. We just launched a week ago our brand new portfolio alerts, which keeps hitting bangers. And those alerts are based around sub 5-day tokens that get $100,000 of balance held by smart money wallets. And once that magical threshold gets reached, more often than not, you get some explosive quality gains on coins that are less likely to give you that rug because we can see where they're placing their bets and placing their capital. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy what we do. We want to get this show growing. We want to get more people learning the system, following the streams. So the more people that do that, the better. And as always, links in the description below. You can find links to ChainEDGE, to the Daily Edge, to our X accounts, the Telegram groups. There's also a link to my BullX ref link. It's not much. It's not an official partnership or affiliation. It's just my personal ref link that gets you 10% off trading fees, as well puts a little bit of dust into my pocket, which helps us put these shows on. So if you're looking for a new trading terminal, I suggest you check out BullX. It's got a bunch of dope features. But anyways, moving on from that shit, let's drop this. Let's get rid of this. And as we like to do, let's take a look at the majors real quick, as we tend to do at the beginning of these shows. See what we got going on. Where are we? Here we go. Let's get rid of my face there. Okay. Well, I mean, we're back above previous cycle all-time high with a pretty solid daily close yesterday. And we're working our way back through this resistance area or supply zone, and we're looking pretty decent so far. What we really want to be watching is the weekly close this week, because as it stands right now, we're looking to be putting in a higher high versus, we were doing that sort of high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher low. Is that what's going on here? Is this going to be our higher low, and then we're going to find a higher high? We're watching for it. It's a magical thing when BTC starts getting bullish and the whole market starts getting a little bit more positive. We're seeing great things happening. Trenches are getting hot again. ETH's still lagging a little bit, as she's been doing all cycle, but we can see looking pretty bullish here too. Solana looking bullish. If we can breach this supply that's been capping us on a few occasions, we're looking pretty good. Sol ETH is back above the all-time high level. If that can capture that on weekly with a close above, and don't forget, we still got today's daily close, tomorrow's daily close, and then Sunday's daily close, midnight UTC, before that to happen. But if we get a weekly close above here on Sol, I mean, that is a pretty damn good looking chart. We don't want to see it close back below here again, because as you see how many times that has been resistance, that previous all-time high Sol ETH ratio. But if we get a weekly close above here, that'd be the first weekly close above in its existence. So something to keep an eye out for. But as I always say, we're not here to chart the majors. We're here to look at our on-chain shitcoins. The specialty that we do here, if you're looking for information or analysis on the majors, there's a bunch of other accounts that do that much better than I do. I would highly recommend the boy Trader Main. He's where I learned about 75% of my personal system that I use for trading, just that I've adapted to on-chain uses, with some complementary techniques from a few other legends like Big Cheds, Crypto Cred, Trader Dante, Emperor BTC, Trader XO. I mean, there's a list of some solid traders that I've learned from. Let's take a look in the chat real quick again. What do we have here? We got Rat Division says, GM, good to see you again, brother. Hermit, my man, Genghis, GMs, DeFi, Charge, got a new face up in here. Welcome, welcome. I had a question here. If I could share my recommended BullX buy sell settings later. If you're in the AFMTG, that's something that we can talk about in there. I mean, the execution speeds on BullX are pretty good. Even their default settings are not bad. But if you're looking to get in some high volatility, high slippage environments, yeah, there's definitely some things you can do to tweak that. But let's move along. I'm going to pull up the watch list as I always do. And we'll take a look at what we got for today's stream. Look at that. We've got 20 people so far. Welcome, welcome. Appreciate everyone that is here. Let's take a look at the watch list and see what we got rocking. Okay, so we've got about 20 coins in here. A wide variety of things. We got the boy Moodeng that we nailed the Pico bottom line last time. I mean, I don't mean to pat myself on the back so many times, but we are trying to grow the channel, and the way that we do that is by posting bullish shit. People like bullish shit on the timeline, don't they? So we're going to keep trying to do that. Just going to take a quick look and see how the posts are doing. If I need to do any more posting. Come on, guys. Let's get some more signal boost on that post on the Twitter, on the X account, to get more people joining our stream. Okay, so as we like to do, you guys know I like to sort by volume. You can start top down from volume. The boy Moodeng is up top. Hermit doing the Lord's work in the chat. I do appreciate you, Genghis, buddy. It's always good to see you showing up. And I do appreciate everyone that has been showing up on a consistent basis in the AFMTG group, which we're starting to build a really nice camaraderie in there. And a nice community of guys that are showing up every day, eager to learn, eager to share. It's really quite nice. I see there's maybe a few more chart requests. No, just someone asking for the live stream. And Moonar, I appreciate you forwarding that link onto him. Okay, I'm going to leave the chart request channel open for now. If anyone has any last minute requests they want to get in at some point, but let's move. See, we've got a couple more people that trickled in and joined the channel, that joined the group as well. Always great to see you. Welcome to Astrology for Men. Happy to have you here. And everyone in the chat, don't be shy. Ask questions, speak up, share your thoughts and opinions. It is a growing community, and we love that it's a two-way communication. Like, this isn't just about me sharing my thoughts. This is about the trajectory of learning and the growth arc. Look at that. Let me just share this tweet from Genghis. There we go. Done and done. Okay. We're about 20 minutes in. Usually about where the intros bring us to. It seems like we've got a pretty reliable cadence for how these shows unfold. About 20 minutes of the pleasantries. I will try and bring those down a little bit in the future, as I kind of just like chatting with you guys and shooting the shit. What's funny is actually IRL. I don't really think of myself too much as someone who talks a lot. I'm more of the stoic, stoic type, but it's interesting how these streams have just really brought out the chatter in me. I guess it's because I'm doing something that I really love doing, something that I'm good at, and that I enjoy sharing with you, Chads. What's good, my boy? Mario, how are you, buddy? Appreciate you being here. Good to see you. Let's get to this. So, Moodeng, been on an absolute face ripper. I mean, look at that chart. What a beautiful thing. Now, I removed the analysis from last stream, which I should have left up so that we could have taken a look. But where we were was here. And I'd marked out this level. Here was your H4 range. And we were trading somewhere in here. And I was like, well, we're in here. We're looking for the bottom, the higher low to form before we go on. It actually came all the way down to the bottom of the H4 range, gave a tiny little sweep, which would have been a very beautiful trigger to go long. So congrats to anyone who took that trade. We did lay that out for you live on stream. And since then, I mean, decent liquidity coin, high attention, like banger. Banger. But let's see where we're at now. Don't want to dwell on the past. Let's start fresh, as you guys know I like to do, so you can see what it is that I see, and so that I can help you to understand and learn how it is that you can actually apply these principles to your own charts, so that over time you'll get to a place where it becomes second nature and you understand what it is you're looking at. It becomes really quick to analyze. So here's daily. We do have structure on daily, but like this version here, I wouldn't really want to see it come back down here, but like, let's just mark that out. You don't even have a swing high there even, actually. So daily doesn't even really do us much good in that regard. But I do see we don't even have a swing low there. Like the swing low on daily, truthfully, is all the way down here. And, you know, I don't think that's going to happen. So let's just remove that, because nobody wants to see shit like that. H12, we start getting some stuff. So what do I see here immediately on H12? Well, we've got a fair value gap right here. That's a plausible area for a retracement. Now, it would look scary to a lot of people if it got down there, especially we're in that parabolic leg of the chart. Let me make sure you guys can see this all right. Yes, perfect. You guys can all see what I'm looking at. We got that parabolic leg, but there is an H12 fair value gap there. Pop down to H4. Okay, H4, we got a lot more going on here that we can work with. What do I see immediately? See H4 demand right here. Swing low. We don't quite know yet if this is going to be the swing high, because we need, as I have mentioned and taught you guys in the past, my swing levels are based off of a 3-candle pattern. So for a swing high, you want a low, a high, and a low close, leaving that swing point. And the H4 doesn't close for 3.5 hours. So it's a little premature to say that, but what we do know is we have a higher high right there, which made this, and wherever this does a local top at on the H4 to build our range off of. Not really much you can do right now, because buying here, you literally could be buying at least a local top. We have no idea. I mean, we're accelerating towards 300 million, and I don't want you to sit here and be like, oh man, I wish I'd fucking bought that. Just personally for me, there really isn't a trigger there. Yeah, I mean, you could go off M15, like look at this. It's broken that swing level and it's held so far, but I don't want to tell you to buy here. It's just not how we trade here at AFM, and the triggers that we look for. We're not really, my system isn't really based around breakout trading or about top blasting. There's nothing wrong with those strategies if they work for you and you have success in those strategies. Then congrats, keep it up. You know, if you have edge there, that's your edge. It's not my edge personally, but we all have different styles, and I'm all about trying to find the higher low after a continuation move up, or buying the very bottom of a range on a sweep with hopes that you're going to go back to the top of the range. So for now, not really much we can do analysis wise on this. Like, you know, regardless of where this is going, this does feel overextended. Now, I'm not into RSIs or anything like that. I'm just a pure price action trader, and that's how I analyze. I mean, even for this H4, we could even swing this up here, so we can incorporate the swing high that was broken into the demand. As you guys know that have been with me for a little while now, that's something that I like to do, especially for something that has a lot of momentum. Often there will be limits set right there, and you may never get that deeper pullback, but we shall see. So on this beautiful looking chart, but not much we can do right now. I mean, look at that. Talk about a parabola. Like this is the type of chart of lore in crypto. That this is what has allured us to crypto, right? Is the promise of something like that. Now they're fewer and further between these days than they used to be. Just there's dispersion of capital in the markets. We've got so many chains now and so many coins vying for our attention that, you know, nailing and finding one of these here and holding that, it's a little bit tougher, but there are people that can do it. A buddy of mine who done it fucking willed this coin into existence, and we were down over here like the day it launched. So I know there's some people that have held from here to here. I know them personally. It's possible. But as you guys know, for my particular strategies, it's not a long-term hold system. But what we can do is find those entries for you so that you can put yourself in a position to hold for as long as possible, because you want market structure on your side. You buy as low into the range as possible. You have very clear validation and you get a nice move up. Well, you have no reason to offload until you start seeing higher time frame breaks in structure, which is what we did here. Like, this was a high time frame area. If you got that entry there, like, why would you've had zero reason on H4, right? Like, higher high, higher high, higher high. You have not once broken H4 structure, which is something good to keep note of. We have not once broken H4 or above market structure on this coin. That if you get an H4 market structure shift, well, that's a pretty clear indication that things are changing, right? Because there has not been one H4 market structure shift to bearish the whole entire time. It's been a bullish H4. Okay. Well, maybe we'll circle back to this one and see what's occurred. And also, I'm going to start making use of these tools here. So, like, we've got something here. So what I might be looking for, if you're looking for something in here, is something that looks, you know, something maybe like this with a sweep of that. Something like that. That's not bad. All right, chat. What do you guys think? I'm going to start using that more often. That's not too bad, huh? Probably a little bit more helpful for you guys too, to see what I'm thinking in my mind about what might happen. Now, I don't know if that's going to play out, but what I would like to see is some sort of interim low put in on the H4, like an interim swing level that gets swept without a close below it. A sweep, as we often talk about, like, is what triggers that we're looking for. Like, if you're in a high time frame area, where you're looking for is lower time frame triggers to get in the trade on, even within the same time frame, you get something like this. If you get something like that, where an interim swing gets put in, and then it comes and sweeps that level with a close back above it, well, there's your trigger, right? Things like that. Let me know in the chat if you guys like that. Hermit's saying nice. Yeah, I think it's not a bad addition. I started fucking with it the other day, and I think, you know, that's a good way to help you guys visualize what it is that I'm seeing and how I'd play that. Alternatively, you get a swing high here, there, and then a higher high close, but one step at a time. So maybe we'll come back and see. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near this level of price action during the stream, but something to be aware of. Oh, Mochi. Okay, this one had been a ChainEDGE portfolio alert, one of our new portfolio alerts that came in the other day. And we analyzed this in fairly real time in the AFM TG group. I need to get a little bit better at, well, not get better, but I just want to stay on top of all these things and update you guys promptly, especially when these come in, because they have been proven themselves to be such bangers of alerts. I mean, over the last week, had you taken a trade in each of the portfolio summary alerts that has gone out, and I think there's been about 10 of them, give or take, you would be in fucking profit. So, and we'll go back and we'll do a little bit more back testing, and we're going to tweak them as we go along. Like, it's become pretty apparent that under more bullish conditions, hitting that 100K threshold is happening pretty quickly. And the intention of the portfolio alerts initially is so that it gives you an idea of coins that have launched, and they're maybe like a day old or so, and there's accumulation going on, and the market, the smart money wallets have been like, okay, this is a coin we're going to put our money into because we think it's going to go up, and that's a good indicator that that's somewhere that you should be placing your capital as well. And so that was the methodology when OCW, On-Chain Wizard, discovered using the data on ChainEDGE. By the way, for those of you that don't know, this is ChainEDGE. This is our on-chain analytics platform, the brainchild of On-Chain Wizard. It's a wonderful tool that, as I mentioned in the intro, tracks the real-time flows of the top 0.01% of DEX wallets by profitability. And what those alerts are based off of, well, here's our smart holdings dashboard, which also has a companion. Like, this is a streamlined version. Then we also have the portfolio, the actual portfolio, which has a little bit more filtering involved. But on the homepage, you come here in this smart money holdings dashboard, you filter up to 5 days. And you look at your balances here. Coins that reach that magical threshold of 100K in balance holdings. So this PAI one's kind of interesting. It launched yesterday. It seems a little bit sus, I'll be honest. Heavily bundled, instantly shot up to a ridiculous market cap. So not one that I'm overly bullish on, but it is in that threshold. So maybe we can take a look at that as well. But our alerts are based around that for both ETH or EVM and Solana. We can do the same here. Filter up to 5 days. And look at that. Look how many coins. And each of these, all three of these, fired off an alert as soon as that magical 100K threshold was hit. And they go directly to the Telegram bots. So anyone that's on the fence or curious about ChainEDGE, well, come on into the AFM TG group and ask some questions. There's also some discount codes circulating, some ref links circulating. So if you are curious about the platform, it is a great time to join, especially as conditions are getting a little bit more bullish. We help to point you in the direction of the tokens where you should be putting your capital, because the rest of the market is putting their capital there. And that's what you want, is you want people to be focusing their attention on the coins you're buying and not trying to force the market in a direction that it's not headed. You know, you want to trade with the market. You don't want to be counter the market unless you're buying something at the fucking pico lows after it's consolidated for a long time, and you think there's some sort of catalyst involved, or you have some sort of inside information and you can front run it. Generally speaking, you want to just be buying coins with the market. So, Omochi, we had laid out analysis. There's a couple things that set up, and both of them have played out. In the AFM TG group last night, I had drawn this demand zone, which you can find in the TG group. It hasn't actually come down into it yet. Let's start fresh. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Let's go higher time frame, see if we have anything that we can work off of. So there's a demand here. I don't really love it. It's not connected to a swing low. There's no actual swing low on H4. So H1 is really the time frame we want to be looking at. If we look here, okay. You got a higher high close there on H1. So here's your range on H1. So you never actually got that tag down into the lower demand that I had outlined. It just kept going. You got a close above, and then it's sort of continued. Why is this the H1 range? Well, it's the swing low that created a swing high closing above the previous swing high, making a higher high. So there's your H1 range with your demand in this area here. Now, people often ask, how is it that you're drawing your demand in supply zones? Like, they seem sort of non-intuitive at times. And the only thing that I can say to that is just experience. It's experience. It comes with sitting with charts for so many years, especially these on-chain shutters, and recognizing the patterns that you'll, over time, will start to recognize yourselves. I mean, I see in the chat, there's guys that are picking it up really well. You know, the guys that are showing up every day, asking questions, really eager to learn, they're the guys that are fucking crushing it. So if you're in the group, or you're watching these live streams, and you're like, man, I'm still not getting it, or you're outlining it, it all makes so much sense, but I'm still struggling to do it on my own, just come ask questions. We're all really friendly in the chat. And we're there, willing and eager to answer questions as they come in. You know, just come and be respectful and have a great time. I mean, I don't think we've had one incident of negativity or an asshole or anything like that in the chat. It's actually been quite great and quite a beautiful experience, and it's developing into the community that I had always envisioned. So come on in. We won't bite, I swear. So back to the point about, okay, how is it that you're drawing demand? Now, oftentimes you guys will see that I will incorporate this entire region here. On this particular chart, given how shallow we got above the previous all-time high and how small this range is, truthfully, I would actually, like, yes, I can see now after the fact that this is down here, but I would really just choose this, even had this price action not occurred yet. Now, it's easy for me to be like, oh, you know, this is after the fact. Of course you'd say that, but no, realistically, like, this dispersion here wasn't that large. You barely got above that H1 previous high with the close above. It did close above, so you got the bullish structure continuation. But what does this do for you? What does that do for you, right? You're like, well, it's a large fucking range or a large demand zone. Like, it's not very helpful. I would really just tighten that up in this particular instance. Other instances, like if this candle had gotten up here, yeah, I'd be looking to incorporate more of that, but this was such a shallow dispersion. That's what you're looking for. Now, obviously, buying the bottom of the range would have been a great trigger, right? What do I say? Price comes back down all the way to the bottom of your range. That's your best risk reward entry. Even if it's dipping below, you don't even have to wait for the sweep. Just buy that, right? Because you get a close below, your invalidation is super close, so you just cut that shit and you wait for a better entry, or you move on. You know, you don't, there's so many coins that we don't need to, they don't need to maintain mind share, right? Like, if something doesn't work out, just fucking move on. Yes, it may hurt if you go back to it a couple of days later or a week later and you're like, holy shit, it fucking 100x. Yeah, but you know what? This is fucking crypto, and there's always another 100x around the corner, like daily, literally fucking daily. But you know, there was your perfect entry. Now it's come back and tagged that previous high and it's selling off. So what you want to see is this to hold. Like, you could be looking for another trigger in here. Is this one of those telltale breaches higher high, closes below, underside tags, and then sells off? I don't know. I mean, it had been really bullish coin. It's following along. It's like a beta to Moodeng, right? Is how people are viewing it. So Moodeng bullish. Maybe this continues bullish, or maybe it's just people realizing, fuck, we got a decent trade out of this thing. I'm in from, you know, even from 1 million or so, even the 3 million mark. You know, if you got this early consolidation, maybe it's trade done. But for now, really bullish in here. Now, what would I be looking for as an entry? You could just be entering here. It's a little bit further away from your invalidation, but it's sort of just like a consolidation after the fact. You know, I often look for those moments of sweeping, which the reason why it's good to wait for a close of a candle for a sweep, why it's not a sweep until the candle actually closes, is because, look, had you thought, okay, maybe this is just the level to buy, well, you would have been underwater for a while. You pop back above water, but then now you're back essentially break even. So what would I be looking for? Maybe another tag at this bottom of the range. We can even go down to lower time frame. Okay, so I mean, your M15 range is pretty much the same as the hourly, but you did kind of get this level here that you broke above. So maybe you're looking at it going, okay, on M15, this is my tightened invalidation and buying area. I'm looking for an M15 higher low here. Invalidation, I mean, you'd really still just keep the invalidation as the H1 bottom because it's so close. But that's something you could be looking to base a trade off of. Like say you get a sweep of this on M15, comes down, right? Like what did I say before? Like say it just comes, spikes the level, manages to close back above. One second. Hold on. Shit, I messed up with that tool. Okay. So say it comes down, sweeps the level, manages to close back above. But you'd probably get a tiny little pullback right into the level with AIM still looking to go higher, right? So if it gives a sweep, meaning trades below and closes back above, there's your trigger. You buy right on, either you can buy just the close of the candle or a retag of that level there. But it's yet to be seen what's going to happen here. But there's a potential trigger right there, right? Like even that level there, if this closes as a sweep here, you could even be looking at it there as a reason to get into the trade. It doesn't mean it's going to have the follow through yet. We don't know, but it is an acceptable trigger. Obviously, the higher the time frame, the better for a sweep. But you have to see what happens here. Structure is still bullish, but there is, I mean, it's kind of playing at a similar fractal to what we had here, right? Like leg, pullback, higher leg, deeper pullback, consolidation up, right? So leg, pullback, another leg up, deeper pullback, consolidation. So maybe it's going to just play out this fractal again. We don't know. But that's something I would look for. Look at that. It's already coming down into that level. So if you get a sweep there, there is a thesis and a trigger there. If you get the M15, still a little over 2 minutes until that closes. But if you get that sweep there, but keep in mind, that may not be the where it finds its bottom. Just there is a trade trigger based off that, and your invalidation is still really clear. What you don't want to be doing is this occurs and then you're buying this, because now all of a sudden you're down here and you're like, fuck, should I cut? Should I cut? Should I cut? Only for 2 seconds later to go there and then go here, right? So this is why we hunt the higher low. If you're not buying the immediate sweep of the range low, that you want to be buying the higher low. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that higher low pullback. And just to varying levels of patience are required. And because when did this happen? You had this 2 and change hours ago. You've had to wait. Now you could have just bought that and you were rewarded short term, but oftentimes we see things trying to do a double bottom within a demand area. So maybe this is it right here. And then next thing we know, we're going to be up here and maybe back to all-time highs and beyond. Who knows? That's what I'd be looking for. Take a look in the chat real quick. How we feel about SCF. We'll get to SCF in a bit. I have a question here. In the mood for ambiance asked. He says he's Sir Cobalt from ChainEDGE joining in. Welcome, welcome. I've noticed you in the chat a few times. Good to see you back. Thanks for showing up. ETH volume fading. It does seem as though Solana has been reabsorbing a lot of that meme coin trading volume, which is to be expected, right? The market was dead everywhere else, and then all of a sudden ETH started going like crazy and was popping off. So you get people that bridge. But you know what? The last month plus on ETH before that happened has been great trading conditions. When there's less crazy volume, it's a lot easier to spot out the tokens you want to be participating in. And there's been trades. So the fact that some of that volume is migrating back to Solana, I have no problem with that. I mean, we're still right now sitting at 20 Gwei. Like, I don't know if you can see when I click that. No, probably not. No, you can't see up here, but I have like on my browser the Etherscan gas tracker as an extension, and I can see we're still at 20 Gwei. I mean, that's elevated activity compared to just a few weeks ago when we were sitting sub 1 Gwei consistently. Like, take that in for a second. ETH gas was sub 1 Gwei consistently. Like, I never thought in my life I would see that, but there we are. So 20 Gwei is still pretty good. So there's volume in the market. I wouldn't be too concerned about ETH volume fading because there still are plenty of trades and opportunities to take. And just keep in mind that ETH plays do tend to take a little bit slower to unfold. How we feel about SCF? Got a couple questions for SCF. Both of those are going to be, oh, look at that. Hermit saying ETH has broke 2,700. Let's take a quick look. Let's take a quick look and see what is going on over there. Where's my, here we go. There we go. Let's take a look at ETH. Getting a nice pump there. I mean, nothing brings bullish sentiment towards a chain like number go up. And ETH right now, top gainer of the top 3 majors right now, 3.27% versus BTC 1.5 and Solana 2.2. I mean, this is going to bring some attention and some bulls back to ETH. Awesome. Love to see it. You'll love to see it. Let's get back to where we were. Let me pull back up the screen that we were sharing. Okay, so that was the analysis on Omochi. Omochi, yeah, I think that's how we. Okay, look, you got the sweeps. This is looking fairly decent for an entry right here. If you're looking for an entry on Omochi, perhaps this is it right now. Look, you even get in a second sweep at that level on a reaction. So buyers are stepping in here. What does a sweep mean? It means that it's a level where selling was occurring, but buyers decided, okay, I want to buy there. But now look, we're selling through. So we'll have to see what happens here. But buyers are in this region looking right here saying, okay, this is a good area for me to be buying. Any questions from anybody on that? Let's get rid of this here. If there's no questions, we'll keep moving along. Let's go. I think we're only two charts in. We got to move this along, don't we? We're already at 48 minutes. Okay, let's pick this up. Hua Hua. I think that's how you say that. I have no idea, and I apologize if I butchered that. But fuck. It's not a language I speak. So let's take a look and see what we got. Was this an alert? I'm not sure. This might have been an alert from the portfolio summary. Okay, so H4, we've got some structure. Key level to mark out there. There's another one here. Like, you can see how these swing levels are so crucial, right? Like, look at how it interacted with that. It was a perfect entry, right? Like, so what do I see right now? It's sort of range bound in this H4 range. I think we'll get more detail on H1. Okay. So one thing that is tough about this is really your range is a big fucking range. Like, this is your H1 range here. This is a ginormous H1 range. But it's been doing a stair-stepping thing up, but every time it gets up into this level, it's getting sold off, which I don't love that. How would I analyze this from here? Okay, well, at the moment, this area here is acting as demand within the range. You know, we like bottom of the range as best as possible, but at the moment, this has been acting as demand. It's getting a lot of sweep closes below and above different interim swing levels along the way, but it's really this top level that you're watching the interaction of. I don't love this. like 3 attempts at a level and immediately sold off. But you're looking for this area to hold. Maybe you get something down in here or something all the way back down here. I think if price came here, you would get some buyers stepping in. You can look here. How long of a duration of a trade that would be, I don't know, but I think you would get some buyers stepping in down here. Maybe you get back up to here. You'd have to see. This one's a little bit tougher because, like I said, your range. Can we even draw a meme line off of this? Do I see a usable meme line? Not really. Maybe there's something here. Yeah, I mean, maybe if you had something come down into there, right? Maybe if something came down over here. Does that continue on to this point as well? No, not quite. How do those align? Yeah, I mean, that's not really so clear to me. So I wouldn't necessarily use that, but you could say, okay, yeah, it's all sort of aligning with this area. So if you get a deeper pullback into here, there's a good chance you're going to get a reaction. Whether that just fails up here again or not, we don't know, but maybe you're looking for something in and around this region here. Something to come down and tag here to go up. I mean, you guys know I don't love using the meme lines, but there is definitely a trend that you can see there. It's just a matter of where it's going to find the bottom. Or, I may be wrong and this holds and it goes up from here. But just given this, especially you go higher time frame and you can see on H4, you've had 2 sweeps and closes below. So, there's stellars stepping in at that level. Tag just shy of 10 mil. Like, this is obviously another version of a beta to Moodeng, and the more betas there are, the less compelling they become, right? Like the coin we just looked at before was a little bit more compelling than this, just based off of price action, right? It's funny how price changes everything. I have a question here. Would I put limit orders in the square region, so in the demand, in the boxed out demand area? I'm not a huge lover of limit orders things because I like to see how price interacts with the level. But you could put something down here, even a stink bid off that level, and hope that it gets hit. And if it does, you could be rewarded pretty quickly for that. And people do use limit. Like, I know a lot of people that use limit orders exclusively, and they crush it. It's just not how I view price action. I usually like to be viewing it live, although you can't watch everything, you can't catch everything when doing it that way. Can I pull the fib tool? Yeah, I can pull the fib up on it. I mean, fibs work really quite well on Solana coins, so it's not a bad idea to pull it up and see what we got. Well, wouldn't you know, the golden pocket aligns with it right at the bottom of that range. So there's a good chance if it comes down there, you're going to get some sort of buying reaction. But this is what I talk about, right? Like, I'm fairly confident in my primary analysis that I mostly just use levels and add the fibs up for confluence from time to time. But when you're newer along in your journey of analyzing these charts and you're still trying to figure out the little quirks and minute details that make the difference between understanding market structure and all those things, like having a fib, throwing the fib up, you could do that as your primary analysis, right? You throw the fib up first and you look around, you're like, okay, what sort of looks interesting? And you're like, well, I see the golden pocket here. And there's this level of demand here. So maybe if I get another tag into there, it's a good buy. It also happens to have an interim swing low. There's things that line up there, right? Like all these things in confluence, all of a sudden over here looks pretty compelling, right? No idea if it hits that, but we shall see. You use market orders. I like to market bid. I do like to market slap in just because I like to monitor what things are looking like, because you put a limit order on, you have no idea in that instance if the whole chart is just nuking through your price level, right? Like, I like to see if it's a higher time frame area, I like to see lower time frame development of price action for an indication that it's the right area. Now, if it's on the bottom of a range and it's a fairly high probability trade on a coin that, it's a very strong coin with a strong community that has lower risk or lower perceived risk of being a rug, then buying that bottom of the range, your risk reward doesn't get any better than that, right? So you could more than acceptable to just put a limit order right on that bottom of the range. But for newer stuff and things that there's a little bit more risk involved with them, be less inclined to do so, just because your limit order could hit and you go to look at it and the thing is down 90%, right? And that happens with any coin. It can happen with any coin. Let me rephrase. There's always these risks involved for these on-chain shitters, but once they've established a little bit more history and staying power, then your confidence in that goes up. Jizen Musashi says, best TA in the game right now. Respect, my brother. Thank you for those kind words. Do what we can. I just highlight what my eyes see, which sounds sort of like, I don't know if that sounds pretentious or whatever, but like, it's true. Like, the longer you sit with charts, your eyes are just immediately drawn to areas. And I can open any chart and just immediately I zero in on what it is that I'm looking for. So I do appreciate those kind words. Okay, where would it put a stop loss on this? Well, if you get a close back below here, it's not looking great, right? Because chances are it's going to trade back to the bottom of the range. Maybe this is just a range play. Maybe it comes up here. Maybe it comes back down to the bottom of the range and there's another setup to go back to the top of the range. We've mentioned before on multiple occasions, it's a range until proven otherwise. And at the moment, it's been trading this range. Now, it hasn't come down to the bottom of the range, but if you lose this level, it doesn't look great, right? If you manage to get an entry here, like if you're entering here, you don't want this to be your stop loss, because fuck, right? Like, you're instantly down 60%, 50%. Yeah, you don't want that. But if you manage to get in here, you just, you put your stop loss, it's on chain, right? So you may want to give yourself, 20, 30%. Yeah. The only other issue there, though, with having it based off of a stop loss and not managing price action live, is the 786 is just below at 35%, right? I mean, a strategy you could have, though, is if it's an acceptable amount that you're okay with being drawn down that much, you just put a 50% rule. The cliche thing of everyone saying, don't risk more than you can afford. Well, if you just have if mentally you just say to yourself, okay, I'm okay with this going down 50%, and if it does that, then I'll cut. Well, then that gives you a pretty wide range. But, realistically, if you lose that level, if you got in really close, your maximum drawdown is only a few percent, right? So you want to be trying to get those really tight entries as best as possible. It's not always possible, and it's not easier said than done. And we can't be monitoring every chart at all times. Okay, let's move along. I had a request for OG Pepe. OG Pepe. Let's change this up because yuck. You guys know I like my charts, my visuals, my branding. All right, I haven't analyzed this one in a while, so let's clean this up. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. Let's go high time frame. What do we have? Okay. A couple monthly levels that stand out. You have a monthly demand here. I usually like demands to incorporate a swing low, but on something like a monthly or a weekly, it may not. which is perfectly fine. So it's come into monthly demand. So far getting a nice reaction. Why did that not show up? Let's go weekly. Weekly is bullish. You know, bottom of your weekly range is down here. Top of your weekly range is up here. You know, it's come down into weekly demand, which also happens to be monthly demand. And, you know, when you get those time frames lining up, it's usually good, good areas to be placing a bet, placing a trade. I mean, Pepe is one of those older coins now where, you know, a trade like this, yeah, you're going to let it breathe for a while, because odds are if ETH is doing well, this is going to outperform ETH, right? So on daily, so daily had flipped bearish. And in fact, the daily range is still technically bearish. Like, here's the top of your daily range. Here's the bottom of your daily range. Here is where you got a lower low continuation. But it's one of those coins that's traded on SEX that a lot occurs in between. Like, you know, you got back above here and you could have said, oh, we flipped bullish again, but then it sliced right through this demand and closed below, right? So it's a little bit, you know, there's, for SEX traded coins, there's market maker strategies that are taking place that are designed to take your capital. It's designed to liquidate you and to go stop hunting. So people potentially, although when was this? Beginning of August, and we did have a market sell-off then, right? Like, this was that market-wide selling event that created the most recent high time frame low on Bitcoin, right? So there was other factors at play there, which is why you didn't catch those bids in there. But for now, so it's daily bearish and been pretty choppy. But given that the market's bullish, I wouldn't skew this. And given that the monthly and weekly is bullish, what you would be waiting for is daily to realign with those. But, you know, you're pretty late to the trade at that point. I think now you're just watching, like, how would I even, I mean, you're watching this weekly level, right? If weekly comes up into here and ends up, you know, rejecting off this level, you have the monthly close coming up as well in 3 days, right? So the weekly and monthly close don't actually align on to the day, like they're a day off, which, you know, is what it is. But like, if this rejects off of here, it's probably not great, but overall it's bullish. Like, the person who requested Pepe, if you're in the chat, I'm kind of curious what you wanted to know about Pepe. Are you looking for an entry? Are you looking to manage your trade? Are you wondering what would you look for if you were to want to cut? Like, right now, this looks great. Yes, I did say it's in the daily bearish range, but monthly and weekly is bullish. And it's showing signs it wants to go up. If you're looking for an entry, like, what could we look for? I mean, everything's so much lower, right? It's a large market cap coin, though. So, like, chances are it's going to come down into a level, an area of demand. Where would that be? I think we want to monitor what happens here. Like, if this, for some reason, daily ends up back down here as a sweep, not great. But if you get a close above here, then we'd be hunting for a new demand somewhere in here. Maybe even this fair value gap that I see forming. Like, maybe this is what you're looking for. We don't know that this is officially going to be a fair value gap until this candle closes, because if it closes back down here, different story. But there's a potential fair value gap right in that area. But that's something that we're going to have to monitor. Like, I would come back after the daily close if you're looking to get on board this to reanalyze. It's a little bit difficult now to do that, right? Like you had an H1 sweep there of the high, and it's a sex traded pair, right? So H1 sweeps can be fairly decent signal, right? Like guys will be looking for that. Okay, I got a sweep. Maybe I'm going to at least come down in here. You know, but I don't really like analyzing a high market cap sex traded coin on low time frame. You shouldn't really, like, unless you're locked in scalping these things, like you really shouldn't be trading them on that time frame. People make careers out of doing that, but like in my view, you know, take those with high time frame swings and not scalps, and you'll be much happier. Okay, moving along. Munar says, allergic to default charts. Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm a little bit picky about it. I mean, I've had them pretty much set for a while now in terms of the schematic of them, the colors and whatnot, but they've been tweaked a little bit over the years. And, you know, I sit with charts all day long, so I want them to be visually appealing to me. And it also stands out in the crowd. Parallel Surfer said, I started following Rap's colors too. I mean, when I was really deep into my learning arc and following along a lot of Trader Main's live streams, yeah, I mean, I did the same thing. I was like, oh, I love the way this guy charts. I want to see what he sees. So I started, you know, doing my charts very similar schematic wise to his. But then over time, that evolved, and I was like, well, I want to develop my own branding. Like I'm building a name for myself. My analysis is on point. Like I wanted to stand out in the crowd, so that's what I did. But by all means, pick your colors. You can use the colors I use. Does not matter to me. The beautiful showing of respect of the game and passing of the torch, what have you. So by all means, let's keep it moving. Bonbon, number one YouTube animal. Okay, so I think this one was dropped in the chat just before the live stream because it had just launched, right? When did this launch? Oh no, this is a day old. Okay, so never mind. This wasn't the one. I probably think H4 is probably the highest time frame. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so immediately here's your H4 demand. It's come in and tagged it. It's given some reaction so far. Here's your H4 swing low, H4 swing high. Here was the higher high break. It's come down and tagged it. Now it's coming down deeper, or not deeper, but it's still on a downward trajectory. So it still has yet to find its actual bottom. We can go H1, see what's happening. Okay. So H1, we have an interim range taking place, which is this. But it's also only made it halfway up and did that. So maybe a sweep of that. You get a sweep of that on H1. Sweep, close above. There's your trigger with aims to take this out and then back up to here, and who knows, right? But it does look like this area is capping it right now, which is kind of interesting because the H1 range is intact and the H4 range is intact, but what is happening is it's using this as interim supply, right? Like see how that came right up into there? Even though the range is intact, you know, you'll have that. It just needs to work its way through it. Because there were some people that bought this, then underwater, they're like, oh, fuck. So as soon as you get back here, they're like, I'm break even, I'm just going to cut, right? You have to just put yourself in the mind of the many different market participants and what they might be thinking. And as we all know, Solana is very, very, very short-term mindset market. So anyone that bought this and was underwater is like, well, fuck, I'm just going to cut. But given the H4, H1 is intact, you're just looking for price to develop in here. You know, you get a sweep into there. If you close below here, then you're looking for bottom of the range. Close above here, then you can, you know, look for an interim demand in this area to keep stair stepping it up. Wouldn't necessarily buy here. because it could go either way. And then once you're in validation down here, it's not too far, but realistically the overall invalidation is down here, just depending on what time frame you're viewing your trade off of. So yeah, you know, sweep, close above, tag it again. Maybe that's what you're looking for. Alternatively, close above that level, and you look for something here to go up, right? So you get a close above there, then you're looking for that demand in here as a higher low, even though we're not in the, you know, it's not the overall higher time frame or the actual range. You can still get that interim stair stepping. Actually, maybe, yeah. So that's what I, you know, those are what I'd look for. And if it closes below there, then you look down here. Moving along. Smoking chicken fish. Let's see. Well, this was analysis from last stream. Fucking nailed it. Well, what day are we now? Last stream was a week ago. So what would that have been? The 20th? Okay, so last stream, 2 streams ago, this was what we were dealing with. I was like, if it comes down in here, probably a good punt. And then that did end up reacting. 2 streams or 1 stream ago, we were here, and I was like, well, if you get a close above this range that it formed, then you'd be looking for the higher low, depending on where that occurred, which did happen. You got a close above on daily. Oh, wrong color. You got a close above there on daily. It did a pullback. It came into this demand here. It was very shallow, but it did give it. It would have been tough trying to find a trigger off that. Like, let's see, H4, what could we have done here? Oh, look, I even have the H4. Even had that H4 drawn out from last stream, which ended up taking place. Right? That H4, we had drawn that out. Well, the stream was on the 20th, so we were here. And I was like, okay, maybe if it comes back down into here. Then it made this. Right? There was your next H4 trigger right there. Now H4 has lost structure, right? So now we're going back to high time frame to see what we see. So given that it made another higher high here, oh, crap. Okay, guys, I will be back in a minute. There's someone at the door, and it might be my kids. They were supposed to be going somewhere else, but it sounds like maybe they're here. So give me a minute. I'm just going to pop the music on, and I'll be back. Okay. And we're back. Sorry about that. Kids were not supposed to be coming home. They were supposed to be going somewhere else. But they just popped in to pick something up, and they're gone now. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, shit. Okay. Give me one more minute. I apologize, everyone. Okay, now I'm back. For fuck's sakes. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone, apologies, excuse me. Can everyone hear me in the chat? I am back. Let me know if you can hear me. Huh. Yes, sir. We good. Okay, perfect. Apologies about that. Kids were supposed to be off somewhere else, and they came home to pick something up, but is what it is. Life happens. Okay. So we can see, let's pick this up right back off where we were. Here's your current range on smoking chicken fish. This is what you want to see hold. Because if this closes below here, now you look, you can see buyers are stepping in. You get a close below here, then you're starting to lose structure again. Even though you're still within this daily range, I mean, there's nothing to say that it can't or won't come back into the bottom of the range until it makes an actual higher high, but like interim, this is what you're looking for here. But it's followed the stair stepping. I mean, we got all, like, we nailed all, right? It's a lot of sideways taking place, though. But yeah, you're looking, and it's your risk reward here is good, right? Like, you can see buyers are stepping in, might be getting that daily sweep at that area. Long, many hours to go until the close, but punting here. Like, what's your downside risk on this? Little under 4%, right? Like your downside risk. I don't love this long wick here. Like that entire move was sold from earlier today. So, you know, type of thing, you maybe check the socials and stuff like that to see if there was a reason. Did something happen that everyone was like, I'm going to sell this? But your risk reward right there is pretty good. Moving along. Wrapped dog. Hello, Peon. Hey, Peon. How are you, buddy? For those of you that don't know, the post that I made the other day to get people into the Telegram, outlining the trade from portfolio alert to area of interest to entry trigger and the end result. Peon did a little bit of work for me in Photoshop to put that image together so it would all be viewable in one, because we all know that putting multiple images on X or Twitter in multiple panels doesn't look great. So he put it all into one for me and did a great job. So I appreciate that, buddy. Good to see you here. Thanks for showing up. Okay. Oh, we got 23 of you guys in here. Amazing. Power Naps. Yo, yo. What's good, Power Naps? Good to see you. Great to see you. Always love seeing the familiar faces from the chat and from the guys that have been here pretty much every stream. Really makes putting all this effort that much more rewarding. Okay, Rap Dog. It's a bit muddy up in here, right? Like, you can see how this supply zone continues. And we've had this supply drawn out for a month and a half now, right? This really just goes to show why market structure is so important. Now, yes, this is an H12, right? The market structure in H12. We're still in a bearish H12 range, but it's been creeping up. Okay, this chart is really highlighting a few things, and there's a lot we can learn from this. Namely, why high time frame range is really fucking important, and also why high time frame analysis is the stronger signal, because this H12 supply was drawn out August 16th. We got the close below and the shift in structure, right? So this has been drawn since over a month ago. You can see how many times that's acted as supply or resistance. This meme line also drawn out maybe 3 weeks ago or so. I'm not sure if it was maybe not quite that long ago, but when I noticed that meme line taking hold, and look what's happening here. We've come right back into it, and you're getting buying stepping in there, right? Like, high time frame analysis is always the best and cleanest thing. And yes, that's just a meme line. There's no real value into it other than the market. If I can see it and I only draw out a meme line, and by meme line I mean a diagonal, the diagonal meme line, I only ever draw it out if it stands out and like smacks me in the face, which this one does. You can see it, right? The trouble with meme lines and why I don't like relying on them is because they're subjective. Is it the wicks? Is it the closes? Is it this or that? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've sat with them enough and know that when I see that meme line visually without it even being on the chart, that I can pretty accurately draw it and where it's probability wise going to hit again. And I mean, look at that to the tick, right? Like, doesn't mean it's going to hold. And a couple of things I'm seeing here, like H12 had been making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Well, what the fuck's happened here, right? Like, we're threatening. Actually, it did in fact get an H12 lower low when it closed below there, right? So this supply has indeed continued to act as supply, and it couldn't even make it up into that key swing level that was highlighted months ago now. If I were to analyze this now, just looking at this, and I'm saying, okay, what would I do here? Like, let's clean some of this up so that we can see clearly what we're working with right now. So we leave this because we still know, and it keeps in our mind the fact that we're in an H12 bearish range. just as a high time frame overview. It's a really great practice to get in of marking out your market structure break so that when you're looking at the chart and you start, digging in the weeds, you still remind yourself of what the overall trend is, regardless of this, right? Now, this could be it and then fucking pops here because it is showing an increased demand at higher levels, right? Which is that's what the stair-stepping meme line is, right? It's showing the buyers are willing to step in at higher and higher areas, with the thesis being at some point it's going to, right? But I don't love this as an early warning sign. And if we switch to daily, we have an instance here, like you don't have a swing point there. So it's a little bit muddy. So maybe you're looking at the daily as that, right? If this daily closes below here, then this trend is in trouble, even with this here. But given that the overall analysis was based off of H12, let's stick to H12. You got an H12 close below here. Thus, an H12 shift in market structure to bearish in the counter trend, because the overall trend was bearish, but you had a counter trend even within that time frame that had flipped bullish. And in fact, when it had closed above here, I'd said, well, with that close above, I think you're good to switch to bullish for this, right? And it's respected those H12 bullish stair steps until now. So it's the first indicator that this is failing. It doesn't mean that this meme line doesn't hold and it goes on to do what this is doing. It just means that it's the first switch from being an counter trend bullish stair stepping to now a step down. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, what am I seeing here? Radu is saying, yeah, this sucks. On Photon, it didn't close below that level, not even on H12. Which that's something to be aware of, right? Like you got to trade the chart that's in front of you. And you have to try and trade the chart that the majority of participants are going to be monitoring. Like this is a decent enough market cap with enough long-term mind share in the market that guys that actually levels trade will be looking at something like that. Are they monitoring it though on Deck Screener? Are they trading it off of Photon? Are they trading off of a TG bot? They don't even really think about the chart. I mean, people will tell you that TA in general is just, bullshit. And to that I say, well, yeah, of course it's memes, but it's putting that meme probability in your side where you'd want to be looking the highest probability execution of a trade. And especially on lower caps and meme coins and whatnot, people will often discredit TA and say that it's just, invalid and blah, blah, blah. But as you guys know, anyone that's been here with us on these streams, we've shown time and time again how accurate it can be if you know what you're looking for. I'm just going to base it off of the fact that we're looking at this chart right now on Deck Screener. Photon aside, Photon may not have gotten that close there, but we're looking at the Deck Screener right now. So, you can port this analysis to Photon and base your analysis off of what you're seeing on the Photon chart. But, we're analyzing this particular chart. So this is what we're going off. So your structure is broken, which means that at the moment, like you've got an H12 bearish range forming here. We don't have a swing low yet, but that's the swing high of it. So even if you get something up into here, there's a high probability on H12 that and you can even see like this has flipped into supply, right? Like people were buying, and all of a sudden they're underwater. Get a pop up on break even, well, I'm going to sell. That's the way you're getting this here, right? Like that's just the psychology behind it. If this is just going to sit here for a while and does some consolidation, you can look for a trigger to think, okay, it's going to trade back to the top of the range and maybe beyond and regain bullish there. But for now, unless you're just super low time frame scalping on this, right? Like, but look, look at what's occurring on M15. Like, you're just sweeping. I would probably consider that's probably an MEV wick. But like, where would we put the bottom of the range? It was probably this, right? Like, this was probably an MEV wick that no one would have been able to catch or a limit order. So let's just call that the M15 range at the moment. Like, look how many times it's reattempted that and swept. Now it's holding this. But you guys know on a coin or a chart that has this much price action in history, M15 is a lot of noise. We can go to hourly. Okay, so maybe that's your trigger. Excuse me. I was mentioning before that in IRL, I don't talk nearly as much as I do when I'm on these streams, which you guys might find funny to think given how much I chat on these streams. But an indication that you can tell that I don't talk that much is when I talk a lot, my voice strains a bit, and then I start to get this tickle in my throat. Okay, so this is your H1 bearish range, right? But what has it done? It's swept the level. So there was a potential reason as a trigger there to get in the trade. But you can see this H12 market structure shift level is really capping price there, right? So it's a risky entry, but your invalidation is really clear. So if you wanted to take that trade, you could, but I would just be very aware that that's short-term signal and be ready to cut. Because you don't want to be taking that trade and then all of a sudden your H12 just makes lower lows and all of a sudden you're a community member, right? Like, okay, let's move along unless anyone has any other questions on Wrapped Dog. There's also another saying, right? Like the trend is your friend. And so long as the trend line is intact, there is a thesis that it will continue. But primary analysis wise, my primary analysis goes against what that meme line says. And I will always take my primary analysis over a meme line, regardless of how visually obvious the meme line is. I'm getting market structure breaks. That is a much cleaner, like this could pop all the way up into here and then you'd think, oh, you know, it was bullish. Good job. But then the next day or a couple of days later, it's down over here, right? Which is why we look to the higher time frame structure. And is this counter trend interim structure, at least on the Deng screener chart, H12 has realigned with the actual bearish range. Is that a strong signal? Very well could be. Moving along. Masya, I really don't know how to pronounce that. Vitalik's cat, apparently. There was an alert that came in for it. Yesterday, what are we doing? Hour and a half? Okay, how many we got remaining here? Let's just take a look. Oof. We're going slow today. Let's pick this up. Okay, Masya. And I think a few more came in to the requests on the chat as well. I don't know how many of those we're going to be able to get through, but let's see how we do here. So this was one of those portfolio alerts that came in, and I drew this range. I was a little late in putting it in the TJ. Like I had drawn it and I forgot to post it, so my bad on that. But there was a trade there on M15, but what I'm seeing is that I actually lost structure on M15. So let's remove all this. Let's go higher time frame, see what we see. Ooh, okay. I had seen something about a tweet about how giant, like a large chunk of the supply on this was bundled. I believe the tweet said like 90% or something like that. I actually did a check and it wasn't that egregious, but it was still a considerable amount of bundling. But okay, there's the top of your H1 range. You can see how every time it comes into that level, it's just getting sold. So not very bullish, but we could call this an interim H1 swing low. And it swept it once, twice, 3 times, and each time it's had a reaction. Is it going to do it again a 4th time? There's a chance. The more often a level gets tested, though, the higher the probability becomes that it's going to lose that level at some point. But flip side of that is it's a range until proven otherwise. So at least your invalidation is super close on it. Excuse me. If we go down to M15 though, this is where it lost structure. I got to close below this level. Right, so M15, you're bearish. And your M15 range. Oh, okay. So M15 actually regained bullish structure, but then it's like it's just a lot of chop. I don't know. Like this one, I don't love the way the price action is unfolding on this because you had to close below, and you had to close below above. And now you're back down here. So what you're saying is M15, this is your demand. On M15, this is your demand because you got a close back above that swing high that created the lower low, right? Like, why is this? Why is that the swing high that I highlighted? Well, because on M15, that was the high that created the low, making the lower low below the previous swing low. And since then, you got to close above that level, flipping M15 back to bullish. And here's your low that created the high, creating a higher high above the previous swing high, right? So that's the market structure. You can see it's tagged pretty close to that H1 level that we've been looking at. So maybe you say to yourself, it's worth one more punt in here and see what happens. I don't love it. And I think when we looked at the portfolio, like it had come in as a portfolio alert. And look, if we even look now, we can see that 100K balance threshold is well below now. And you can see that they've sold almost 90% of their balance. So to me, that's quite bearish. Right? That's a pretty bearish signal to me. 86% they've sold of their holdings with a dramatic drawdown in the amount. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a trade to be had here. It just tells me that they're not overly confident in this as a trade. Oh, I need to switch back to here. Yeah, so it doesn't mean that this can't hold. It just means that, you know, wallets that are very profitable have said, okay, we're maybe not so bullish on this coin anymore. Too Tall, what's up, buddy? He says, I think it stays in this range forever. Forever. What coin are you talking about, buddy? On this Massia, or were you referring to Smoking Chicken Fish? Anyways, let's move along. Let's see if he replies. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. I always love having you along. My good buddy, Too Tall, everyone. One of my closest in this space. On Massia, he's saying. On Massia. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to fail the range. I'm going to be honest. Like, given how bearish the flows look for holdings. Let's move along. Ozark was pretty bullish yesterday. Now it's looking really choppy. see what time frames we're working with here. This looks like such typical price action though of a Solana coin. It gets huge initial run up in the first hour or two, sells off dramatically, gets a secondary bounce, but then 9 times out of 10 they just die off. Like you can see it did this sweep here. This is probably a good one to throw a fib up on. The only trouble with deck screener and coins that originate off pump fund is you're missing that initial price action that takes place pre-radium. But we deal with what we got. I mean, look at that. It came all the way to the bottom of the fib range. So you could, like, if you were just like for shits and gigs, you're like, this thing can't go any lower, you just punt there. Well, you'd be pretty happy, right? 600% move there. But what are we dealing with now? I don't love this. It's rejecting off the golden pocket. Like, see, it's clearly rejecting off it. Sweeps of an H1 level. Sweeps even on M15. You couldn't get an M15 close above. That being said, like, I think right now the market's looking at this, saying, okay, if this can hold, you know, buyers have stepped in there. So maybe if this holds, it goes on another leg. Like, I don't want to sit here and say I don't think this is going to run, and then tomorrow it's like 2 mil. I don't want to give you that impression. It's just, and we do see these charts unfold like this so often on Solana. I mean, it has an eerie fractal resemblance to another coin we just looked at, right? Like, look at this and look at this, right? It's a much lower time frame, but it's a very eerily similar looking fractal, right? I think there's better coins in the market that you could focus your efforts towards. Maybe if it comes all the way back down to the bottom, yeah, you know, you have a good thesis to say, oh, it's done it once before, maybe it does it again. But right now you're looking for this to hold. I don't have high confidence in this, but I'm also not the best at token selection on Solana. I just, you know, chart these things for you guys and try and focus my efforts towards the ones that have the attention and are doing really well if I'm going to take a trade on Solana. But like right now, I don't know. Maybe you're just watching this to hold, and maybe it comes back up here. You want to start seeing closes above here for continuation. But like 3 attempts at that level, sweeps and closes down, like, yeah. Let's move along. Bouncy, which is what I've gathered is the OG name of Moodeng. Someone said it means Moodeng means bouncy pork or something. And this is the first one deployed. I mean, let's be real. At this point, the Moodeng that is sitting over $200 million market cap is the real Moodeng. And as a market overall, we need to stop this PvP bullshit of trying to bring down obvious market leaders. It's just bad for the space. And all that cope of, oh, I missed the one that did well, so now I'm going to try and get in on another one and try and flip the narrative that, oh, this was the first one, this is the real one. So what do I see? You had an obvious swing high that was cap in price, and look what happened. As soon as you got a daily close above, it came down and tagged it and went, right? You even say, okay, here was your daily demand. But you got to close above that swing level right there. As soon as you closed above there, you're like, okay, this is showing a willingness to go higher. So you're looking to buy something as a tag into demand around there, which it gave you. But like now, look at these wicks. It just screams PvP cope to me. like on charts like this, I don't even really like drawing analysis on because it's not real price action, right? Like, okay, so let's say we're saying, okay, here's your H4 range. This is your H4 range. There's an area, a cluster of demand here. So you box it out, but even then it's so choppy. Like, I think maybe you get a sweep of this. Let's drill it down even lower. Okay, so here's your H1 demand. Here, if we're going to do this, there you go. There's your H1 demand, the low that created a high, creating a higher high above this swing level, right? Oh, wrong color. There's your H1 demand. Tighten this up a little bit, clean this up a little bit. Okay. Comes back down into here into H1. Maybe you get a sweep of this level. Yeah, there's a trade that you could take there. I mean, shit, a trade is a trade. At the end of the day, the ticker doesn't fucking matter. They're all memes and bullshit and hold no real value other than the fact that we give them value by trading them. So who fucking cares what the ticker is? You know, in the past, when I was more ideological about things, when I was a more ETH maxi from last cycle, like I would have taken a more negative view on these things. And yes, I did say some negative things just now about it being a coat play and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, who fucking cares what each ticker is, right? Like none of it fucking matters. Just make money on it, right? So if people are going to speculate on it, get in early, get in low, and sell it to them high. It's the same as any market dynamic, right? Supply and demand, buy low, sell high. You know, I kind of view shitcoins as a new version of flipping packs on the streets, right? Like buy your bag low, sell it to someone else for more money. That's all it is. You know, if you take that hustler's mentality to it and you zero in on your edge and you say you understand the market dynamics and you say, okay, this has potential. I think people will speculate on this. I want to buy this as low as I possibly can, as close to my invalidation as possible, and sell it to the next sucker for more money. Now, that may be a cynical view, but it's really is what we're doing, right? If we're keeping it real, it really is what we're doing. So that's what you'd be looking for on Bouncy. I think here, yeah, you could say, okay, there's an interim demand here that I'm looking at. That you could, that like people are stepping in there with buying. Like clearly they're looking at that saying, okay, maybe this is demand, but really you want to be in here rather than up here. Unless on, you know, lower time frame, you're getting signal. Yeah, like here. M15, you lost structure, right? On that interim range. It's not the true range because M15 is the same range as H1, looks like to me. But you just lost the level there, right? So odds it comes down into here just went up dramatically. Really a sweep of that would be your best trigger or all the way down at the bottom. But keep in mind, play plays out like this, it could be down over here tomorrow, right? Like I wouldn't devote too much of my time and effort towards this one. Moving along, Gen Z. Sussy mewing Riz. What the fuck? Who? What the fuck? So I think this one had popped up just before the live stream. It was requested. It was a brand new coin. Like how old is it? 2 hours old. Literally popped up right before the stream started. How are we doing on time? 1 hour and 50 already. Okay, we gotta speed this up. But Gen Z, Sussy, Mewing, Riz, Sigma. It doesn't even show me the end of that. The end of that name. I'm not going to click on that Telegram. I'm not that interested. Oh, there we go. Sussy, Mewing, Riz, Sigma, TikTok, 420, Inu. Getting that, hopping on the schizo name trend that ticker Bitcoin started. Gen Z brain rot. It was a community claim. The token launched today and it's already a community claim. Beautiful. M15. I mean, there's not much I can really do on this yet, right? Like we can throw the fib up. I mean, it came down to the red dev level and bounced. I mean, something that comes out the gate with high velocity and high volume, if it comes all the way down near the bottom and it's aligning with some fib level, like you have a good odd of punting there, right? You just have to be quick. Like you have to be just watching this and saying, okay, what am I looking for as an entry? Because it just had that, look at that. All the price action took place and it was bullish, right? So you had no real entry there. What would you be looking for? Well, generally, as you all know, I look for market structure, right? So like what time frame had market structure? M1. It's hard to base your analysis off M1, no. And you can see it, it failed structure. For anyone that's curious also about the fibs, if you go on the AFM TG group in the resources channel, there's images of the fibs and how I have them set. You can just copy those and you can run off the same fib levels that I'm running off of. A couple of them are industry standards, like the golden pocket and the 786. Some of the interim levels are custom levels, as well as the level that I call red dead, which is a level that I noticed over time and quite often had price interacting with it. And you can see it lost the red dead, reclaimed it, tagged it from above, and sent, right? So there's some M1 choppy price action that you could have been monitoring looking for a trade, right? Because what happened? Perfect example of how you can chart any fucking shitcoin with a pulse. Look at this. Here was your M1 swing high that made a lower low. You got to close above right there. It's flipping the M1 range back to bullish. And what happened? There it was, right? Higher high, dip into demand, boom. And I mean, that unfolds so rapidly on M1, right? Like, so you got somewhere around here, like 400% move in a matter of half an hour. You're fucking laughing, right? Like, if you're really in the fucking trenches and you're on your game and you're monitoring someone like that, like, just take that trade, right? Be quick. Have your slippage set really high. Expect that your entry fill may only be somewhere here, but you're still into bullish momentum once it switches that trend. So where are we at now on this, though? Like, okay. Let's bring it back to the meme lines. See why the meme line is interpretive dance, though? Because you can interpret that different ways. This is an M5 chart, so like take a meme line with a grain of salt on that. But there's something there, right? I mean, I guess we could say, let's take it from this one, and then it's a lot clearer. But it hasn't even, so, maybe it comes down in there. We'll see. But I don't really love it. That's that. Let's just stick to M1. So on M1. Okay, so you had a lower low, higher high. So your thesis on M1 is saying, here's my M1 demand. I'm looking for something in here to go long off of. Ideally as close to the bottom of this as possible, because this is so choppy that you could buy here, you're going to be down here, it may swing down below and then come back up into it, right? So like you want to be buying as low to there as possible, but there is a thesis there on M1 that somewhere in here you're looking for a higher low based off of this setup. All right. Low, the high that created the low, creating a lower low, close above, higher high, looking for a lower high in here in demand. So will that happen? I don't know. And this is very high risk as a player. Just putting that out there. Doesn't mean you can't trade it. Doesn't mean there isn't a trade to be had. I'm just letting you know this is a high risk play. Let's see what we have. Brain rot at its finest. It certainly is. Hermit says, you just time-stamped your life with that forever ever. Shout out to Kanye West. Parallel surfaces, wow, 5x in 20 minutes. I mean, that's the allure of Solana, right? Is you can hit that 5, 10, 20x in a matter of minutes sometimes, right? Like that is the allure of Solana. But with that, the flip side is you get Jeet City. And a lot of times you're just going to blow yourself out. So it's a double-edged sword. Moving along. How are we doing on time? Ooh, almost at 2 hours. Well, we're probably going to go a little bit longer today, is what it is. PayPay. Did we analyze this one last stream? I believe we did. I believe we did. Let's take a look at what we were looking at. Okay. So you're getting that stair stepping. Where were we last stream? Okay, so you know what I think had happened? So the last stream must have been on the 19th, because looking at everything where the analysis was drawn, if it was on the 20th, I would have already drawn that as a higher high. So the 19th must have been the last stream. Someone can look that up and corroborate, but I'm pretty sure the 19th was the last stream. So I had said, you get, oh, and look, I even drew a box there. We'll have to drill down a lower time frame to see, but you got your higher high. What time frame was I looking at there? Was that H4? Okay, there we go. So I I did not come back to look at this. And guys, with these setups that we're putting up in the streams, okay, one thing I need to do is get in a better habit of posting the charts in the chat after the fact. But also, guys, keep tabs on these things and bring them up so that we can go back and look at them, because I did not take this trade, but look at that. I had drawn this H4 fair value gap. We were waiting, right? We were waiting for this daily candle to close, which has since closed bullish, but I drew an H4 fair value gap, right? I said, okay, we don't know if we're going to get the close above, but I can see this H4 fair value gap. Maybe that's what we base our analysis off of. We'll have to come back later. Like an asshole, I did not come back later, but look at what held is that H4 fair value gap. You even had, look at that. I drew a level there. Look at that. It came in and swept it again. And there was a trade right like there, right there. Not a huge move. It's a more established coin, almost 100 million market cap. It was 60 and change at the time of analysis. So you're not expecting 3 to 5x's. You can think that in a longer scheme of things, but you know, a perfectly great trade for a 60% move on size, and you're laughing, right? With minimal risk, you know, it's not going to rug you at this point. It's been around long enough. But let's see what we're working with now, because that's unfolded. So let's go back to daily. Let's see what we've got now. So we've since reclaimed that whole range. Was that a weekly level that I drew there? Aha. Okay, so there's a weekly level there. We don't know yet if the weekly is going to close above there. It's looking pretty good. Still a couple of days to go on the weekly. If the weekly manages to close back down below here, I'm going to say that's bearish. But at the moment, well, where'd my line go? Where'd you go? There we go. At the moment, you've got a daily close above. Let's clear all this shit out. You've had a daily close above. You have a cluster in here of demand. Excuse me. This is one of those instances where I'm looking at it. You're going to say, how the fuck or why the fuck did you draw your demand like that? But it's going to be from here to here. It's a cluster of price action where sellers were initially selling, but then buying demand outpaced the selling demand, pushing it to a higher high. Why is this the bottom? Well, here's your swing low on daily. We don't know where the range high is yet. But anything comes down into here, especially aligning with that weekly level. Like, I think if you get a tag into that weekly level, buyers are going to step in. You can go down lower time frame, see what we're working with. Not H1. I don't want H1. H4. Yeah, I mean, your H4 range low is all the way down here still, right? It's down here. So like, it doesn't really do us much good. Yes, you have an interim demand here and here. And I'd be more curious about this one to see what happens because it aligns right with that level. We've said this before. You want to have layers of confluence. If there's a whole bunch of factors occurring at one particular zone or level, your probability skyrockets. Because regardless of what type of analysis someone is doing, because there are a million different ways to analyze a chart, this is just one of them, and I found this to be the most successful based off of probabilities, and the one that clicked with me the most, that I could immediately understand and visualize and repeat myself. In this particular, but like the different systems and styles of trading, if you're starting to get confluence around levels, like reasoning for why people would be looking at that level, like your probability of a successful trade skyrockets. You know, we could throw things up like RSI and blah, blah, blah. I really don't like those things because to me, they're just lagging indicators. The most up-to-date indicator is price, right? Like price is happening in real time. Volume can be useful. I'm not a huge volume trader. You guys know that I mostly just use volume as a tool for indicating attention and where capital is still flowing and people are trading actively. But I would say that, oh, and look at that, even a psychological rounded number, 75 million market cap level. Kind of seems like a no-brainer. So maybe someone in the chat remember this one, and let's take a look back in a couple of days. You could even set an alert on it if you want. I'm not going to do that right now, but because I really don't rely on the deck screener alerts too much anymore. I used to use them extensively, but I found they were just unreliable. It was either sending the alert late or not sending it at all. And so to me, that's just an extra step that I'm incorporating into my workflow that is a waste of time. It's just unactionable. So you just, you know, build a watch list of things that you're actively watching and check back on them on 4-hour intervals. Why do I say 4 hour? Well, because 4 hour is a high enough time frame that you're getting an indication of structure and direction, while not being too high time frame that you're going to miss a move, but also not low time frame where you're looking at things that are going to give you a counter thesis to what your higher time frame thesis is, right? You don't want to chop yourself out of a position, and you also don't want to bully yourself into a position that is actually bearish. So H4 is a pretty good place to be doing that on, which is why, and I would recommend to others, on my phone, I have every H4 hour, like every H4 close, I have an alarm that goes off on my phone. So I know, okay, an H4 candle just closed. And you align that with UTC midnight. So every 4 hours, you have an alarm that goes off. Now, the one that takes place in the middle of the night, I don't have that one as firing. It's just, I do like to sleep, and I don't want to wake up my wife in the middle of the night for no reason. Well, at least not for that reason. But just set the alarm on your phone. And then every 4 hours, if you're either managing a trade or monitoring a chart to look for a position, see what's happened in that time frame. Now there's going to be times where you've missed the trade potentially, but if there's that much volatility and volume, just be actively monitoring the chart. But H4 is a great way to say, okay, the H4 candles just closed. Let's go take a look at my watch list, and try to keep the watch list small. Don't have like 50 coins on there. Don't have 20 coins on there, like 10 at most. Even better, have like 3 to 5, and really concentrate your bets towards good. Like if you're not a gambles trader, if you're not gambling every single new launch and you're just going high probability setups, really streamline your watch list down. One thing I've been doing lately is I've aligned a set of my deck screener filters to actually show me the same coins that are showing up on the portfolio summary based on a 3 to 5 day 100K balance. And it's actually not that difficult to do. And we can run through a session where we set that up and you guys figure out how to do that on your own terms, under your own, what's the word I'm looking for? Under your own filtering. You know, if you have certain criteria you want to look for, but we can help point you in that direction so you can have a watch list that you're monitoring that aligns with the portfolio summary. And I've actually found that to be a wonderful place, especially for the ETH coins, because the portfolio summary has been so good there recently. But now that Solana is picking up again too, I'm going to go and create a new filtered DEX screener pairs list, not an actual watch list where I have to add coins. This is just going to be a rolling list of the previous 5 days of coins that are hitting the criteria that you're looking for. And you'd be surprised at how, if you get your filters narrowed down, what you're looking at on the DEX screener pairs filtered list is exactly the coins that are on the ChainEDGE portfolio summary, 0 to 5 day, 100K balance. Like, you'd be surprised at how you can nail that down so well that you're right on top of the game and you're only focusing on that. Like, if your strategy is high probability setups for newer pairs because they have the volume and attention and velocity, like, yes, all these systems and setups work on any age of token. You're just looking for the higher lows. You're looking for market structure. You're looking for ranges. You're looking for supply demand. It works on any age of coin. But you have to fit the system and strategy to your trading style and to your temperament and to your availability. Like, if you only have, like, say you work a 9-to-5 job and you only have a couple hours here and there throughout the day to take a look at the market, well, you don't want to be fucking paying attention to new launches, because you're gonna drive yourself crazy thinking you've always missed everything, FOMO this, FOMO that. Whereas you adjust your strategy to fit your availability and your risk tolerance and your temperament. So you just want to align all these things so that you're only focusing your efforts towards the part of the market that you do well on and that you can devote your time towards, and that you feel confident using your capital in that direction. Sorry, a little bit of a rant there, but like, there's ways to do this. And I will, yes, we'll do, I see here, Parallel Surfer. Yes, please wrap more DEX screener filters aligned with ChainEDGE. 100%, we can do that. And, you know, we'll do that in the Telegram group so that everyone can be a part of that and can have something to reference and go back to, because we're over 2 hours already. Jesus fuck, guys, how do I do this every time? I'm like, okay, 2 hours, let's cap it, and then we go beyond. Never knew a guy that liked the sound of his own voice so much as this guy, who actually hates talking. What the fuck is that all about? Okay, so PayPay, yeah, you know, you're waiting, like, something in here seems like kind of like a no-brainer. If you get something in the next 2 to 3 days that comes down into here, like, it seems like a no-brainer to me. Provided that ETH is going to maintain, you know, like, yes, there's other factors. There's always other factors. And you can look for a million reasons not to take a trade, but we try to look for the 1 to 2 to 3 reasons to take a trade, right? Like, there can be a sea full of bearish noise in any market. And yes, crypto right now feels really fucking bullish, but you really only look for a small set of factors to give you a bullish trigger. And that's what we try to hunt here. We try to hunt those those alignment of factors that give you the bullish directioning and inclination and reason to take a trade. Like, there's any reason to not take a trade, but then you're not going to make money. Sorry, rant over. That's PayPay. Let's move along. Aura. Okay. Aura's bullish, right? Like, I think I outlined most up-to-date analysis. It was either in the ChainEDGE Discord or in the AFMTG somewhere. I had to get a little bit better at streamlining the AFMTG, and we're trying to restructure it a little bit so that it's a little bit cleaner and easier to follow along and find everything, because it was getting a little disjointed with too many channels and people posting everywhere. I want to keep it clean. I want, anytime someone goes in there, depending on their reasoning for entering the chat, to immediately be able to do what they're trying to do. If they're just looking for my most up-to-date charts, that I've posted. There's a place for that. If they're looking for portfolio alerts and what's happening in the progression of trading those charts, that there's somewhere just for that. And there's a place where everyone can just come and chat. There's a place where people can ask questions. Like, the channels are there. It's just a matter of streamlining them so that they don't get too crazy. Because, you know, you start posting the same thing in multiple channels, and then it's like, where the fuck am I looking for everything? And no one can get anything done. Like, I'm a big fan of organization, big fan of it. So it's something I'm gonna work to actively improve in the group so that it's useful for everyone there, right? Like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to be posting in 3 different channels in the same group, right? Like, so it'll get better over time. It's a work in progress, but okay. So Aura had been bearish for a long time, right? As soon as it closed below that level right there, there was your daily range low. As soon as it closed below that level on August 4th, right? Like, that was that massive sell-off that we were looking at on whatever the other coin was. But that was that massive sell-off, that market event. But it's been bearish ever since there. Since you got the close below there, Aura has been bearish. It tried to flip bullish a few times and failed. Well, what did you finally have? Aura printed a higher high right there. And we initially had a demand drawn out there. I've since updated it because it's moved along and someone requested it. But on the last... So on the last stream, we were putting in this candle, and I was like, well, this is looking pretty bullish. We don't know yet. But before that, the demand was drawn here, and we got a tag right into it. It was like textbook. It was drawn out maybe 2 or 3 streams before this one. But now we're just having bullish consolidation after a massive daily run up, right? You had your higher high break. This is your demand, but maybe what we're dealing with, maybe this is a situation of, here's your fair value gap on daily. Maybe this is what we're working with. I mean, it still comes down into demand. So I'm more inclined to leave a demand zone than fair value gap. Like, yes, I do use fair value gaps, and I've highlighted to you guys instances where you can use them and where they're very successful. But I do prefer the actual demand zones, especially for, yes, this was a big displacement. And so there is a fair value gap there, but this is an older coin, right? And the volume is still decent. Like 1.7 mil in the day is not nothing, but it's not a high velocity coin, which is typically where I find the fair value gaps are more useful, is in high velocity situations. Like, I don't know if you guys remember anyone that's been here for a while. A couple weeks ago on Smoking Chicken Fish, after we had the recovery, I drew out a fair value gap, which it ended up losing. And it ended up going into the actual proper demand zone before finding the higher low. And that was just a symptom of it not having the same velocity as a brand new coin, with buyers eager to step in sooner, right? Like, I do think that if it comes down into this demand on daily, you're going to get buyers stepping in. Just the fair value gap is less of a factor because it's not as eager of a play. There's less eyes on it. There's less attention on it. Although we can check out the attention dash and see how it's doing. It's probably up there. But so for now, daily range, it swept the highs. It put in this interim swing level. I'd be looking for a few things. Now, you had 3 daily swings of this, right? Three daily sweeps of that level. Not a great sign, at least interim. You have an interim swing level here. If you get a sweep of that on daily, you know, you'd look to trade it back to the top of the range. Now, dailies, you have to wait a long time for that candle to close, but for the higher probability. But ultimately, I think your best setup is down here, of course. Obviously, the lower the better in any situation. So what do we see here? H4, you got to close above. and then it closed below. You know, it broke bearish. It made a higher high and then a lower low. And then it came up into it again as showing more follow through off of the H4 fact that it broke a bearish range. But it's a lot of chop and a lot of noise, right? H12, you got a higher high, bottom of your range, though, is still this. So it kind of becomes more clear that maybe this level here is a good area to put in a bid. Because you had your H12 higher high, bottom of your H12 range is now here. Top of it, it's a little bit muddy because there's some chop, but there's your H12 range. The sweep down into here on daily looks a lot more compelling, right? Get a sweep, look to long it from there, get a close below here, well then we're definitely coming down here. It's the type of coin though, like looking at it too low of time frame, it's just noise. Like, what are you supposed to do with this, right? Like, you know, you also have that. It's not even clean, but like you're sort of failing that now, right? Yeah, it's not clean. I don't love it. But look, see? You had that ascending wedge. As soon as you close below, you start to, right? I'm not a huge fan of patterns trading though. You guys know this by now. Like horizontals, market structure, ranges, supply and demand. That's 9/10 of what I do. Adding in all these patterns that everyone likes to look at. You know how often patterns fail? Probably more often than they follow through. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, all over the timeline, you see people drawing out these patterns, these wedges, these triangles, this blah, 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 blah. More often than not, those fail. Moving along. How's the chat doing? How is the chat doing? Oh, thank you, friend. Just, it's, you know, it's enjoyable for me to do this. I really enjoy doing it. Another question. Would you use demand zones more than fair value gaps when there is an older chart with a lot of overhead supply? I mean, I kind of just answered that, right? I look more to a fair value gap when it's a high velocity coin, meaning that there is a lot of attention and a lot of buying demand focused on that coin. So you're probably going to get buyers stepping in early, jumping the gun on demand. So yes, very much so. On older coins, I'm less inclined to look at a fair value gap than on newer ones, just because of the velocity. Now, if you're trading sex pairs, that's a different story because fair value gaps come into play a lot. So I hope that answers your question. Moving along. Lock-in. Has lock-in started to turn around? Wow, I haven't looked at this chart in a while. I mean, we're still in the same range, the same bearish daily range that it's put in beginning of August, right? And it's sort of a similar, let's get rid of this because this is unnecessary now. It's sort of a similar chart to what Rapdog has been doing, right? Like, yes, it's got more history, et cetera, but like it did that bearish range. It broke bearish on high time frame. And it's been doing that sort of every time it comes up into supply. Now, the flip side of that is weekly is bullish demand. It's in weekly bullish demand. But daily, it's still bearish, and this supply keeps acting as resistance. I would monitor what happens here. Like if this closes as a daily sweep here, not great, right? If that closes as a daily sweep, there's still plenty of hours to go. So get your bull friends out, get them to fucking buy lock-in if you want to see this continue up. But look, it tagged right into supply and sold off, and it's potentially putting in a daily sweep here. You can see how important this level has been, though, right? Like it's hugged it so much. So if you get another chance down here, it's a range until proven otherwise. Well, you buy down here. If you get a daily close below this. So someone had asked me in the chat, maybe yesterday, maybe the day before, how do I view deviations on a chart? Well, this is a bit of an older coin. It has enough chart history. I said, it's cred is famous for the crypto cred is famous for the deviations. And I said, that's one area where I differ from him, especially pertaining to the market that I'm trading, being on-chain low cap shitcoins. Now, lock-in has enough price history and a decent enough, it's still a low cap, but a decent enough market cap that a deviation makes more sense to me. So if you come down here and you get a daily close below here, and then a little bit of price action, then you get a close back above, I would view that as an acceptable deviation, just because of how important the level. Okay, there was a good clarifying point. When is a deviation valid for these on-chain coins? Well, when there is a level that has been so clearly important as this has been, because this is a level that was put in July as a swing point, but has had price interact with it since August 5th on multiple occasions and never lost it, that if you get a close below that level and then a little bit of price action and you reclaim that, there's your deviation reclaim. Like that is an acceptable deviation reclaim to me. Not on something that's had like 1 or 2 points against it on a low cap that has 2 days of price action. Like deviations in those scenarios to me make zero fucking sense. But here, so you want to watch what this daily does. If this daily is a sweep with that tag into supply, like there's a very good chance it's going to come back down here. At the very least, that it's going to sweep maybe this level and see what happens, right? Like that's what I'd monitor. There's not really much you can do right now. Like if you're in the trade already, you wait to see what happens here. If this is a sweep, maybe you cut and look to get in here or down here. If you're looking to get in the trade, right now isn't it. To me, right now is not it. I'd want to know what happens with this daily, because you could buy here and you go up a little bit and then the daily closes as a sweep and then like the next day you're down here, right? I would wait on this one. It needs to percolate. Many have not looked at this chart in fucking ages. Looks like I analyzed it a few streams ago though. When was this? Somewhere after September 13th, this was analyzed. And look at that. Look at what it did. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but fucking Christ, guys. Like, follow me for more hot tips where we make you a millionaire. Oh, buddy. At least if I started one of those paid groups, I'm actually giving valid analysis that is actionable and back tested and works out and makes people money. But anyways, okay. So you had this daily bullish demand, came in and tagged, made a new higher high. But I do see at the moment, we're threatening a lower low. What happened? There we go. I do see at the moment we're threatening a lower low because this is your daily range. I would sort of call the current demand as being this. But the bottom of the range is the bottom of the range, right? You get a daily close below that, then you're flipping your bias. Yeah, mini is certainly threatening a lower low daily close. Still quite a few hours to go until close. Like 5.5 hours until daily close. But it's certainly looking heavy here. Not really much I can say analysis-wise at the moment. You've already got your H4 closes below. So when I say, there's times when I say flip to lower time frame to monitor your trade. Yes, we're looking at a daily level. We're looking at a daily level. But H4, I would never do this on like H1 or M15 to manage a trade on, but H4 is a high enough signal that you already got your H4 close below. And then look what happened with the preceding H4 candle. It came back in, tagged the level that was lost, and sold off. I mean, it's not looking great right now. Look at it. It looks even like it's accelerating since we've been here. So looking a little bit rough on this one. What you'd look out for next? So say it loses that level, where would you be? Well, then you want to see what happens here. Or wherever you get a swing low formed, and then you'd look to build out a range on lower time frame for a sweep potential trigger to go long again. But right now, like you're free falling, I wouldn't touch this. And if you're in it and you're like, fuck, what am I supposed to do? Well, it's already showing me a higher time frame. Like H4 is not super high time frame, but it's like a middle enough time frame that it's high enough that you can use it as signal. Like it's telling you it has the willingness to go lower. Brainlit. Let's take a look here. So Brainlit has been pretty choppy for a while. And when we got that close above below there, I said, well, it's kind of in a bearish range, and here's your supply. Not kind of, like it did enter a bearish range. There's your supply. Well, it came into supply and sold off. What I do see, though, one second. I see someone just wrote, Tarzan, I see you wrote, if you're watching right now, I see you wrote in the ChainEDGE Discord, what is JLP? Well, it's a Jupiter LP position. Similar to GMX, where you deposit assets and it gets used as to trade against. So you're actively trading against counterparties as the other side of the trade, but it usually comes with high yield. So there's obviously a lot of people putting money into Jupiter perps because the yield is good, because people are on-chain leverage trading, right? Market's good, people are going to be out leverage trading, so the fees are usually really good. Someone just responded to that too. Jupiter perps liquidity token. There you go. So it looks to me as though daily has flipped back to bullish. We can get rid of this. And get rid of some of these lines here. Here's your daily range. Let's clear this out. Okay. So Brainlit is flipped back to bullish. Why do I say it's flipped back to bullish? Well, by a fraction, you got a daily higher high. It's one of those situations where you got to zoom the fuck in. But a higher high is a higher high. You got the close above there. So now this is your daily demand. You're looking for the higher low to form here. You can see how it's been respecting it so far. Buyers have stepped in. You're just waiting for it to make a higher high. Not much to say on Brainlit. Like, this is probably a really good entry. Not probably, this is a really good entry because your validation is so close and it's showing a willingness to want to go higher. XMW Morphware. Oh, look at that. This was also a ChainEDGE portfolio alert. And I believe I updated analysis on this last night. Price was here, and I said, well, your entry is probably really good here. Well, look what's happened. You had an H12 area of demand. Price came into that demand, made a higher low, and it's since gone higher. Not really much to say here at the moment. Like, we're in the middle of this trade. So you don't really, you've got an H4 close above, signal a willingness to go higher. Likelihood that this H12 closes up here is pretty good. 5.5 hours to go. Ooh, okay. We just now got a ChainEDGE portfolio alert on an ETH coin. Ticker is 3AC. Oh, Jesus. What did 3AC do in the news? Oh, and I'm looking at the alpha stream right now, and I am seeing huge buys. Huge buys. 80K, 40K, 50K. What is going on here? Okay, let's divert for a moment because that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look. So it's 3 arrows with a Z capital. We all know who 3AC is. It's a 48 million market cap token. Last buy was a minute ago, though. This looks like it's probably a honeypot, right? 7 sells from 5 buyers with $3.8 million in volume and 139 buyers. This is a honeypot. Last transaction was over a minute ago. Do not touch the 3AC capital. The 3AC coin that just came in as a portfolio alert. It very much, to me, looks like a honeypot. Not surprising given the dramatic impact that, I gotta turn that back on. The dramatic impact that 3AC had on the market in 2022 when they imploded the shit, and all of that ended up leading to FTX imploding. I mean, I see Suzu like back in the community and making inroads again, and people sort of like re-accepting him, but like, fucking Christ, guys, that guy literally fucked up our whole industry. From arrogance and carelessness. Yes, there were outside factors such as the global liquidity situation shifting and rates being increased and whatever, but I can guarantee you 2022 would not have been what it was if they didn't fucking blow shit up. It would have hurt. It would have still been a bear market, but it wouldn't have fucking been what it was. So really keep these things in mind as we're like giving these people a platform again and putting them up on a pedestal. Like, he's a fucking piece of shit. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. Like, I try not to be overly ideological about things anymore, but fuck, there's a line at places, and he's one of them. Like, what's going to happen when if Do Kwon gets out of jail? Are we going to bring him back into the community with open arms? Like, remember what the fuck has occurred, right? Just remember these things. Sorry, rant over. Okay, this is mid-trade. There's not really much you could do. I did outline this setup in the AFMTG last night in the channel specifically for ChainEDGE 0 to 5 portfolio alerts. So if you go in there, you'll see that setup was there. There's not really much you can do right now. You want to wait to see this close. I'm pretty sure it'll close as a higher high. And then we'll also be having a daily higher high with a daily area of demand that we can draw out. We can speculate that it's going to be here, and then we'll look for a higher low there. But for now, you just got to let this play out. Manifest. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to get all heated there, but things like that do piss me off. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Yes, it's a decentralized, free, and open marketplace, and that's what we're here for. But at its very root, at its very core, crypto is a coordination method. It's a way to coordinate people across the globe towards a common purpose. That is literally the definition of cryptographic networks, decentralized cryptographic networks. It's a group of people coming together with shared interests to coordinate. Otherwise, you have no proof of work. Otherwise, you have no proof of stake. Like, that's what all this stuff is a coordination game. So yes, it's decentralized and anyone can participate, but there is a social layer to the whole thing, and letting these people back in and applauding, like that video of him making it rain on a stripper in Singapore, like, it's not what the fuck we're here for. I mean, strippers are great, fine, like, have a fucking fun night, but I don't want to fucking see that guy living his life, living his best life, free again, wasting people's money. Rant over. Rant over. Okay, manifest. Wow, quite a recovery. If Too Tall, if you're still watching, so me and my buddy Too Tall, we powwow often and chop it up. Buddy, do you see that range low that I drew out? What did I say would happen if you? Okay, a couple of charts ago when I was talking about deviations and range reclaims and what is an acceptable deviation, well, you can see that that's taken place here. I had this range outlined. You got to close below, you lost the range, recaptured the range, and then it came in and retagged it. Like that's an acceptable deviation on a coin with enough chart history, enough price action that you look for it as a deviation reclaim, and then you buy the retest, right? So what are we dealing with right now? On daily. I mean, everything's been pumping, right? Like, it's too bad we didn't have a stream like 3 days ago, because it would have been a better time for a lot of this stuff. Just market was so busy that I was just actively participating and trading. We need to get better at making these streams a little bit more frequent, because at the moment, this trade is unfolded and you're waiting to find out what the next trade is going to be. What's interesting is it traded right up into this range high that I marked out a long time ago. Well, I got a lot of alerts coming in, so there's going to be a lot of catching up to do once the stream is over. But it came up into that level. It's seeing signs of rejection, so we have to see what happens here. But you did get a higher high on daily here. Unfortunate thing is bottom of the range is all the way down here. But you do have your demand there, so it's a cluster of price action, right? Like, so if I were to really draw this demand out, you'd be looking for something in here. It's a big zone. So what you do is if/when price comes down into here, you just switch to lower time frame to look for your triggers, because it is such a wide area. I guess we could zero in and say maybe that's just demand, and like say if we go to H12, there's probably yeah, okay. So there you go. Just drill down. H12. There's your swing low on H12. All right. If this closes as a sweep here, which is looking decent chance that it will, you want your higher low to be here with your invalidation there on H12. Moving along, sync. How we doing? Still got 15 of you guys here. Amazing. Troopers. Appreciate you guys sticking it out with me. Okay, sync. Analysis from last stream. I said here is this swing level. It's sweeping. Good chance. It's sweeping it in the daily demand. Good chance it's going to want to go up higher from here. Well, what happened? Swept it a few times. Boom. So now we've had a daily higher high. Close above there. And so what we're saying is, here is your new daily demand. Your swing low. You're looking for someone to come into here. You're looking on a daily time frame for something to come into here as a higher low into this demand to go higher. Looking good though, this chart. Looking good. Now, there's a potential that it sweeps this level here, but that's not too concerning because your range is intact, and you do want if you're looking for somewhere to bid, to be buying the higher low and not a top. Okay, I need to divert again for one more minute. Someone just put $267 into this $267,000 into this 3AC coin. What the fuck is going on here? What is going on here? Like, this is baffling to me. It has 10 mil of liquidity on it. Like, okay, so transactions are occurring now. Like, maybe there was a high tax on it and it's been lifted and people are trading this. They boosted it with 500 level boost on Deck Screener. It got the golden ticker. I mean, I have to dig in to find out what the hell's going on here. But like, Jesus Christ. Come on, guys. Come on. Okay, moving along. Next cipher. This one's been choppy. Really choppy. It's a tough one to analyze because of how much chop there's been. Got nothing on daily really to work off. Okay, H12, we could say this is what you're looking demand to hold. In an instance where you got a giant wick on day one like that, like I just kind of disregard it in terms of the price action after the fact, because it's just it's fantasy. Like it didn't really occur. That was just snipers probably selling off. So then we look at what we've got in front of us, and okay, here's an H12 range, an area of demand. You're looking for this to hold to go higher. Not much else we can really say. What would I look for a trigger? I mean, maybe if it H4 sweeps this. There's a level there, maybe. A level here, maybe. I don't know. But H12, you know, so maybe it's this, it comes into this H12 level for a sweep. Or even lower, I don't know. This is the type of thing where you need to do some FA and dig into some of the fundamentals about the project and whether or not it has staying power and a bullish catalyst. Let's see. Okay, so we've made it through all of those 20 coins on the list. I do know, I've seen that there's been some requests in the chat, but we're already at 2 hours and 45. I still have 15 of you here, so let's take a quick, let me just peruse real quick and see how much was in there. Okay, there's a request for Ginnin on Solana. Pesta the Baby Penguin, also a beta to Moodeng, although there's an argument to be made that it's beyond a beta and it's kind of its own thing, other than the fact that it's cute animal zoo meta. It's kind of like its own thing. Wrapped Balance AI, have not seen that token in a while. Oh, and Mumu. Oh, and Pog. And Zoomer. Okay, that's kind of a lot, and I don't know that I want to really do that many more. Let's try and get through a couple of them. And yeah, we'll wrap up soon. Apologies for the length of the stream, guys. Okay, Ginnin. Let's take a look. Where'd it go? There it is. Ginnin the cat. Whoa, what is happening here? Okay, let's just clean this up and see what we're working with. I mean, it looks to me like it's trading this tight daily range. formed a range, top of the range, bottom of the range, swept, went back to the top of the range, has since swept. Good chance it comes back to the bottom of the range. You can monitor this here, see what happens there, but probably comes back to the bottom of the range. I wouldn't buy it here. You know, that phrase, you don't diddle in the middle. Well, that's the epitome of trading in the middle of the range. Even though it's not the overall higher time, like the actual range, which I think this range is now irrelevant for what's been happening here. I would wait to see if you get back at the bottom of the range, and then you play it for a range play. Or if you get a close above here on daily, but here there's nothing. I wouldn't touch this here. Yeah, like maybe on H4, you're saying, okay, here's my swing low and demand, and it's swept it. Missed it. Like maybe that's your thesis. Is I've got an H4 swing low here, made a higher high. Here's demand. It's one of those instances though where daily is the higher signal, right? Like it's a daily range, swept the high, immediately sold off of it the next day. I would take more signal from that than the H4 interim. But you could take a trade there and see what happens. And validation's pretty clear. That was for Moonar. Okay, Pesto the baby penguin. Let's see what we got here. No, not there. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Pesto. All right, let's just clean this off. Let's see what we've got. What are we working with? Massive daily fair value gap. That could come into play. You can tighten it up even. Here's your H12 fair value gap. You have an H12 swing level right there too, potentially, depending on how this closes. Like this could close below it, then it'll negate that swing level, but at least for now, your H12 swing high. The true bottom of the H12 range is here, so it's a long way away. H4, you've had sweeps of the high. I think if you get a sweep down into here, into this fair value gap, and it closes above on H4, then you've got a good trigger. Or alternatively, closes above, then you look for the demand. But right now, you want to wait. Something down here, you know what I've been talking about, you get a sweep, closes above, retest of that level, then you look to go, right? But we don't know yet what's going to happen. Alternatively, you get some sort of, doesn't sweep it, but actually closes above here, then you look to buy the demand here to go higher. Right? Okay, what's next? We'll just blaze through these. You know, it's not too many. Fuck it, let's do it. Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball. Wrapped Balance AI, a coin that I have not seen in many, many months. Tagged it perfectly. I mean, I don't like it. What you want on this, what I would wait for is a weekly close above this level. And then you look to buy on daily, some sort of trigger, but right now, I wouldn't. Because the probability is still down. Even though, you know, okay, so maybe what you're saying here is, Here's a weekly breaker because it was a weekly high that created a low, creating a lower low, which is now closed above, even though it tagged into this important weekly level. It may even be a monthly level. No, it's a weekly level. So you could be saying, okay, I'm looking for a close, a higher low in here to go up, which you could base a trade off of. I'm not going to diminish that. But I mean, look at daily, how choppy this is. Like, you want to hold this for... What's the button I'm looking for? No. No. Oh, what's the button? There's a way to... No. Why am I not remembering the button? There we go. I mean, look at that. Over a month of almost no volatility. So yes, you've had a jump up and some interest, but you really want to be buying with the high time frame trend. So get a weekly close above here. Yes, you're not going to capture all this. You're going to miss out some of this, but you're going to be buying with a bullish trend and catch the majority of the move. But right now, this could just end up coming back down and fading off into nothing again. Right? Like, it literally couldn't have... like, yes, it front ran it a little bit, but like, that's a perfect underside retest of the key important level. And so right now, the difference between a deviation and a loss of a range, well, this is a clear loss of a range, whereas a deviation would have recaptured it, right? If it recaptures it, then we can view this as a deviation. But as of right now, it's just an underside tag and sell-off. Thumb. Let's take a look at thumb. How's everyone doing? I still have 14 of you. Awesome. Oh, it looks like they just updated DEX on the 3 Arrows Capital coin. I wouldn't buy it. I mean, it has such high liquidity, which is why you're seeing those large buys, right? But to me, it's a ticking time bomb until the thing rugs. Truthfully, is how I would view that. Like, it's a whale game where it's high liquidity. They're able to throw in large clips and get in and out easily, quickly. That I'm just not even interested in that. Like, I don't have the level of capital that they're throwing around. But, you know, you're seeing 30, 40, 50K clips. You get a 10% move off that. You're laughing, right? Like, you're having a great day. But it does, to me, feel like a ticking time bomb until it rugs. Just some food for thought. Okay, thumb. Last time we analyzed this was a while ago. It's been a lot of chop. But if you do see, there was this demand that was drawn. Look at how it held. And that was from end of August, maybe we drew that, right? Whenever this occurred. Yeah, end of August, beginning of September, we drew this out. So interesting that that particular level is held. Let's see what we're working with now. Has this just ended up as... Okay. Again, I'll drill this home. High time frame analysis is your best armor when you're going into battle. Like, think of yourself as a warrior. And on the other side, on one side of the market are bulls, and on the other side of the market are bears. And you want to be going to battle equipped with the best intel, armor, and tactics and weaponry at your disposal. Well, you can think of the high time frame as tactics, and intel. And you can think of your capital, the weaponry. Well, intel and tactics on high time frame said it made a bearish range. And yes, there was a trade to be had, as I outlined, to go from bottom of the range to top of the range, which it did. But once it got to the top of the range, it stalled. Right? Look at that. Doesn't mean it can't close above the range, but it was a good chance that if you took the trade here when it got there to cut. Well, let's see what we got now. So you're still dealing with this a range high. Still dealing with that as a range low. Why was that? Because that was the low that created the high, making a higher high that you close below. It's a little bit muddy and choppy, and I was kind of, this is one of those instances where instinct and time in the market comes to play, because yeah, you were, I mean, you were still even dealing with this level here. But I had drawn that as like an interim level, and then you close below. So that's how I made my analysis off of it being a bearish range. But it is still just a range, right? Like you can trade this as a range, but it's looking like it's wanting to try to close above there, given how quickly it got back up. I would watch the daily to find out what happens here, because if this ends up as a sweep again, I mean, you got your H4 close above, and what did I say? H4 can be an indicator of a willingness to trade in the opposite direction, right? So you got an H4 close above. Maybe that's an early indicator that the daily is going to actually close above here. So you could just monitor this on H4. H4 range. We don't have a close on that yet, but I'm, decent chance that that's going to be the H4 high. So you're looking for something in here. But given it's traded as such a range for so long, clipping in at the top of the range without a clear close above seems like a bad idea. Moving along, we had Moo the bull. Okay. So Moo, the last time we analyzed it, had made a bearish daily range, but it was trading a range. And I said you get a bottom of the range sweep, look to go to the top of the range, and then find out what happens when it gets there. Well, it did just that, and now it's closed above. So Moo has flipped back to bullish on daily. Get rid of all this. Get rid of that. We can get rid of, well, we can readjust this. Here's your daily demand at the bottom of your range here. Top of your range here. It's been doing a bunch of sweeping, so, but it's also clinging on to this important level there, right? So maybe that's the extent of the pullback. It just consolidates here, but if you get something into here, good place to put a bid. What else do we have? Moo, Pog, and then Zoomer. Let's take a look at Pog. Pog, okay. Well, daily it's made a lower low. And it's come back and slammed right into the previous all-time high level. You know, it was making nice higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, stair stepping. But then as soon as that trend meme line broke, close below, underside retest, sold off. So your thesis right now is previous all-time high retest. It's going to hold. I don't know if it's going to hold, but that's your thesis. Here's your H4 bearish range. We don't yet know if this is the bottom, but what I do is watch this on H4. If that ends up being the swing low, and you get some chop here, you get a sweep of that level one more time, aligning with the previous all-time high level and an H4 range low, well, then there's your thesis. You need to let this unfold a little bit more, though. Like, if this closes in 58 minutes like that, and that's your swing low, there's your H4 range. You look to play that range. Until then, you wait. What else do we have? Zoomer. Let me just close the door. Sounds like someone's coming home. Okay, let's take a look at Zoomer. Okay. So I believe I pointed out a while back that Zoomer had finally flipped bullish. I can't remember where I posted it. I'm not sure. I believe I posted in the AFM Telegram group a while back, but regardless, it had flipped bullish. And look at that. This breaker made a higher low and now a higher high. So what we're looking for, you know, there was your higher high break on daily. You're stair stepping. Here's your daily demand. You're looking for that to hold. Perhaps there is light at the end of the tunnel for Zoomer. You know, it's starting to look good. Looking for that to hold. See what happens. Something into here. Not a bad idea. But you'd look for a low time frame trigger because this is, you know, it is still pretty choppy. But that's what you'd look for. And oh, looks like someone actually put the chart for, or the request for that 3AC coin into the chat. So let's just take a quick look at it for shits and gigs. It is pumping right now. I mean, Jesus, I'm not going to lie. It is pumping. Let's look at this chart. I mean, look at this. This is pretty funny. There's really not much for me to analyze on this at this moment in time, but like you have that. The price action is hilarious. Like someone put in the AFM chart request channel, very weird PA. And I agree. Very weird PA. I mean, that being said, it gave almost a 2x. You know, it did this thing. Look here. Came into an area of demand and did its thing. You know, situation where it trade the chart, not your feelings or thoughts or bias. Don't go into things having a bias. Let the chart tell you what the bias is, not a personal opinion as a bias. I still wouldn't trade this. Like, what the fuck was this? You know? And then what the fuck is that? Like, I just have a feeling when we look back at this later, it's going to be here. You know, like maybe you get, you know, maybe you get something like that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, and maybe there's a trade to be had here, but personally, it just gives me that vibe. I'm going to leave this drawn here. Let's see. We'll come back in a few days and see what happens. I could be completely wrong, and if it does well, congratulations to anyone who takes this trade. I'm not going to personally touch this, but who knows? Okay, well, that was the last request. Oh, someone's saying dog. Did we cover dog? Dog running hard. Let's just take a quick look. Let's just take a quick look. Did we not have hashtag dog in the request? Why did no one request hashtag dog? Because that was also a portfolio alert token. Let's take a look. Ooh, beautiful. Beautiful. This was a setup that I laid out in the AFM TG group. This exact, I drew this and I said, you're looking for your higher low here. Well, look at what's happened. If you are not in the Astrology for Men Telegram group, I highly recommend you become a member. It's free. I'm in there all the time, laying up setups like this in real time, actionable trades. I don't really know too many people on these low cap shitcoins that are laying out the analysis the way we're doing it. So show your boy some love. Follow me on Twitter, X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel here at the Daily Edge, where we host the Astrology for Men live streams. Join the TG. Like we're laying all these up for you in real time. Like, look at that. Couldn't have been more clear. Almost a 500% move. Okay, enough stroking my own shit. Let's take a look at what we would do now. So you had another higher high. And then another higher high. Like, look at this clean stair stepping, right? Into this, you would have had, I mean, you had a demand here, even though it wasn't a swing low, but you had that, right? Like, look how clean this is trading. This is why you want to be trading with the trend, right? And with a coin that has attention, because levels are going to get respected. Even on Solana, which is historically not the best at levels respecting, but lately it's been a lot better. Okay, so right now, if you got something into here on H1, you're looking for the higher low in there. Now it's entering parabola. And once a parabola breaks, it's not great. And that's a long way down. You can go to M15 and see what we got. I mean, even M15, look at that. I've respected so far this demand. It's not a swing low point, but it is an area of demand. It's respected that. That's sort of how you get on board things like that, right? Like, okay, there, M5. Swing low. Here, let me just delete there. Okay. You had M5 demand. Higher high, tag demand, went higher. Now, that was a difficult one to, like, probably was a limit order or something. Like, okay, you got the 1 minute tag there. You just have to slap that bid in there with high slippage and a good fee, good priority fee to catch that. But you could have caught that if you were quick enough. But I think right now it's, it is into that parabola state, and you're starting to get signs of weakening. So it doesn't mean it's not going to continue higher. I'm just saying it is starting to give some signs of weakening, but it also did that here, and then it went up. So but you can see, like, chop, 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 slow grind, boom, right? Like, there's a difference in the price action, right? If you get an H1 tag into demand, take it. There's your H1 swing low. Like if you get something into here, take it. Oh, and we got one more. Okay, this is going to be the last request. I'm closing off the request channel because I don't want to keep this running any longer. Request channel is now closed. Will be reopened again prior to the next stream. Last one, eDoge. So this had been a coin that had done really well, last week on ETH, but look at the difference in volumes now. For a coin that was in the attention zeitgeist for Ethereum plays, look at the volume. Look at how far back it's fallen compared to all of these Solana coins and then Pepe. Like, that's pretty wild. I'm pretty sure this is lost bullish structure. Yeah. So this was analysis that we provided yesterday in the Astrology For Men Telegram. I said, okay, H4, you made a lower low. You now have an H4 bearish range. Here's your supply. I would be looking at this as a fill, and there we go. We have since made a new. Where was the bottom? Was it that one or that one? Yeah. We have since made a new H4 lower low. Like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, bruv. Here's your H4 swing high. Here's your new H4 supply zone. It's not looking good. I don't know what to tell you. Like, laid up that exact setup, I said, you're looking for this as a sell. And that's what's happened. Maybe if you get a sweep into here, you could look for a reason. But you gotta wait for this H4 swing low to form, which at minimum is going to be 2 candle closes from now, until you know what range you're working with. I'll just move on from this for now. Okay, everyone. We have gone through a lot of coins. 30 coins, 30 tickers, and we're at almost 3 hours and a quarter. So for the 14 of you that are still here, I mean, at one point we had over 20 people joining us on the stream. So I appreciate each and every one of you that came out for the streams. Guys, what a great community we're building here. Everyone that's stuck around this whole time, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of the requests, all of your questions, being a part of the community, growing the community. It's really been becoming a really great experience for me doing all this with you guys, learning together, chatting together, trying to beat the market together. It's really super enjoyable for me. Market's in an interesting place. It's very clearly dominated by Solana again. Volume is clearly shifted back to the Solana ecosystem. It had been dead for a little while there, and now it's completely turned around. And where ETH was doing really well a week ago, it's cooled a bit. It doesn't mean that there aren't lots of opportunities in place to take place on ETH. And in fact, when it's a little bit cooler like this, in terms of volumes and attention, the obvious plays become very obvious. And I am still going to continue to trade ETH because I feel like I have a little bit more edge there. I was mentioning to Too Tall, my buddy, the other day, like when I'm charting an ETH chart, I have like almost full confidence in my analysis. When I'm charting a Solana chart, even though it almost always unfolds as I lay out, I still have a little bit of doubt when I'm looking at it, just because it does trade a little bit differently. Now, I understand the nuances of Solana, and I've gotten pretty good at analyzing Solana charts. And as you guys have seen through these streams and through the charts that I post, like, we're nailing it. We're fucking crushing it. So I need to, that's a personal mental thing that I need to move past, because the analysis is spot on. So who am I to doubt my analysis on Solana just based off of prior experience? Like, the analysis is going spot on, and you guys can see that in real time as we're laying these out, like it's taking place as laid out. So, and that's a good thing to think about for you guys too, that are learning and learning the process and learning to trust the process. Is even I, when I'm analyzing things, even though I know my systems work and are spot on, I still approach things and have doubts in moments. So just know that regardless of where you are in your journey of trading and reading charts and how to analyze them and how to properly analyze them, it's all a process. And the more repetition you do, the better you get at it. And just submit to your own instincts on it, right? Let's do all this fun stuff. Let's come over here. Let's take the screen off. Let's put this up. That's still got my mug in the middle. Regardless, let's do all this fun stuff. Remember that Astrology for Men, these live streams, Astrology for Men, is brought to you by The Daily Edge, thedailyedge.com/subscribe. We are a daily newsletter sent straight to your inbox for free, full of actionable intel, insights, and knowledge, written by the legendary on-chain wizard, giving you a 5-minute read and report on the previous day's action in the markets, where attention is focused, where volume is focused, where capital is being focused. It really just distills a lot of the day's noise into signal. And it is the companion to our analytics platform, ChainEDGE, ChainEDGE.io. Don't forget, links are in the description below for thedailyedge.com, ChainEDGE.io, for the X accounts of ChainEDGE, The Daily Edge, myself, 0xRapture, Onchain Wizard, as well as links for our Telegram channel for The Daily Edge and the Telegram group for Astrology for Men, where we host discussions and analysis in real time. So make sure you join the community and start chatting and become a part of this community, growing community that is really building something unique and beautiful here. Like, I've got to say, I'm really enjoying my time doing this stuff. It is, it's a labor of love. Like, it's time consuming and it does take focus away from other areas, but it's something that I really enjoy doing and enjoy being a part of with you guys. So, don't be shy. Come on in, ask questions. Ask for feedback on your charts. Ask questions about why something is one thing and not another, or how it is that I looked at something, or why I view it that way. Like, I'm in there answering those questions. And the more questions you ask, the faster you're going to learn. Like, I've noticed a very real correlation in the group for people that are asking questions and in there frequently, that are, their analysis is getting pretty damn fucking spot on. So you want to further your knowledge and your abilities, then be proactive about it and take agency over learning a repeatable skill that can feed you for your entire life. Like, yes, we may be looking at on-chain shitcoins, but this analysis can and does work on any instrument that you trade. There are certain nuances across markets that you need to learn to understand so that you more edge for that particular market, but the overall concepts, market structure, ranges, supply demand, swing highs, swing lows, like, these are all things that you can take with you into any market and trade. and be successful. What else links are in there? Well, there's also a discount code for ChainEDGE. You can find in the description below as well. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy the show. Please do like the streams. If you like them, please click on the like button and please subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel, and the only way we do that is by getting the word out there and getting more subscribers. And the bigger the channel grows, the better. You know, some people will ask, like, sharing this analysis style and how you trade and this information, doesn't that erode the edge? Nah. It only improves it. It only improves it. Because, as we know, there's no magic formula to this. It's just about putting probabilities in your side. And if more market participants are aware of what to be looking for, then the higher probability those trades are going to unfold. Now, we don't need them to be doing this for these setups to be occurring with high probability, because they're already happening that way, because the probability is on our side. But the more people that are looking at these setups, the more self-fulfilling it becomes. And then we're all just in a good place and we're all making money. You know, like, if I have two goals with this channel, or with these live streams and with the Telegram group, two goals. First goal is to help you make money. The second goal is to prevent you from losing capital in an unnecessary way, or at the very least to minimize losses when a trade goes against you. Now, I'll have to say this, none of this shit is financial advice. You all know that. This is all for entertainment purposes. I'm not telling you to go trade anything, and I'm never, ever suggesting one coin over another, because, to be honest with you, they're all worthless. They're all memes. Even utility coins are all memes. You know, it's just an instrument to trade because people want to speculate on it. So I endorse no projects, no coins. I just look for volume, or if people are requesting a chart, I will chart the shit out of it for you and help you find an entry, or help you understand the moment where your trade has gone against you to get out. Those are my goals. And if you are looking for a new trading terminal, consider using my 0xRapture link. It's not an official partnership or affiliation. It's just my personal ref link that, if you use, will get you 10% off your trading fees on 0x as well. It puts a little bit of money into my pocket so that I can keep doing these streams. It's not much. It really is not much. But the more people that use the ref link, obviously the better it gets for me. So I will show the shit out of that. You know, I'm by no means a KOL. My account is not at that level, and I'm not a token shower. I'm an analyst. Don't forget that at ChainEDGE, we are also working on our trading terminal. I'm in active testing with the devs so that we can get that pushed out to you, so that you have a beautiful way to go from discovery to analysis to trade, all from within ChainEDGE. It's going to work on both ETH and Solana, and eventually other EVM chains, and whatever the future we have to add into it. But at the moment, we are in active testing. It's not there yet. It still needs work. But just know that I'm putting my all into making it a platform that I want to fucking use every day, because I do find that terminals, even the best of them, are lacking in some way or another. I want all the features that it is that I look for to be present in our terminal. Now, they may not all be there on day one. It's going to be over time, but the bread and butter portion of it being trade execution and analyzing the charts, well, our charts are going to be fucking spot on. You know, it's something that we're really working hard at to get nailed, because that, to me, is one of the biggest pain points of these terminals, is just discrepancies in price and it not being a great charting experience. So that is something that we're working on. But in the meantime, by all means, especially for an environment like Solana. Use Bullx. Bullx is great for fast trading new pairs on the Solana environment. So again, there's a ref link in the description. What else? I think that is about everything. Let's just take a quick look at the comments before we finish up. Very good stream. Thank you. Thanks, bro. Radu, thank you for being here. Parallel Surfaces, thank you. Appreciate you. I appreciate you for showing up. Thank you so much. Rat Division said, awesome stream. Amazing. Latest port alerts plus your setups were absolute cookers, says Radu. Hey, man, that's what the fuck we're doing here, right? Like, the whole idea behind ChainEDGE, and then to an extension, the Daily Edge, and then a further extension, the Astrology for Men group and these live streams, is to help everyone make money. It's the ultimate goal for all of these, for our entire suite of products and information and media. That's the goal. That is our goal. In the mood for ambience said, thank you, good sir. Thank you for being here. I can barely see a close distance after all these charts, but very, very helpful stream. Well, you know what? They're always up there recorded for posterity into the ethos on YouTube. You can watch them and rewind at any time. In the mood says, trade where your strength is. Yeah, I agree. If you have an edge somewhere, milk that fucking edge, right? Like, if you have an edge somewhere, milk the edge. Thanks, Chief Moonar. I appreciate you being here, buddy. Can't wait for the ChainEDGE terminal. It's still a little ways out. I'd say it's maybe, less than 2 months, more than 1 month away, but we're working on it actively. Believe me, I'm testing the thing every day. And every little thing that comes up, I'm getting on those devs to make sure that we iron it out. So don't you worry. Someone is saying that I just got bot rated, need to resolve. Okay, I'll take a look at that when I wrap up here. We'll see what's going on. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Hopefully it's not getting too crazy, but we'll find out. Anyways, everyone, once again, I am 0xRapture. This has been Astrology for Men. Another great stream. I appreciate you all being here. And we'll do it again soon. Hopefully you found some setups that are going to work to your favor, or have helped you get out of a trade that is going against you. Let's see that 3AC coin has continued to pump, which is fucking crazy. Yeah. Until next time, I will chat with you guys in the Telegram. Thanks to you all. Ciao.